Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to HP to XP. I'm Chris, the Dungeon Master for our Umbranthal campaign. Before we jump into our story tonight, we've got some acknowledgments and some announcements for you. First off, thanks to all of you. We hit another major milestone on Twitch, and we have unlocked our fourth emote, which is an awesome natural one die that you can spam chat with. We are 12 subscribers away from unlocking emote number 5, and Mel of Melmo Plays here on Twitch is hard at work crafting that cool fifth emote, as well as some really nice exclusive emotes for tier 2 and tier 3 subs. So thanks, Mel, for all of that work. Secondly, our very own Cross, our producer and designer extraordinaire, is starting to produce as Sorcerer. So you can check out his YouTube channel, The Sorcerer's Codex, if you are looking for a cool take on a range of storytelling and production content. Links are in our descriptions and will be in chat. As a reminder, you can find us live on Twitch every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for our campaign stream, and on most Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern to talk about world building, explore DM tools like Foundry Virtual Tabletop, mapping software, character creation, stuff like that. We are taking this Saturday, December 26th off, but will return on January 2nd to help kick the new year off right. Remember that if you miss any of this live, you can hop over to YouTube and catch our VODs. Again, check out our links in chat and our descriptions to connect with us on social media, our Discord server, and our website. But now, the adventure begins. Welcome to Umbranthal.
Journey to Umbranthal is produced for mature audiences. The topics and roleplay may be challenging, including instances of violence, power, and race. Our chat and comment sections are a place to respectfully engage with these topics and offer us your feedback.
Our adventures began last week in the wayside town of Seva, in the elven lands known as the Politia of Falar, not far from the contested region of Habrock. Cloud, the prim tabaxian, Maple, the rugged human, had been traveling together for only a day when they came upon Fenn, the ever-vigilant wood elf, and Veirona, an inquisitive woman, along the North Road. The group, having weathered an ambush together, elected to stop in Seva for food and a night of rest off the road. Also road-weary and a little bloodied, 3 very uncommon travelers came upon the tavern. Ahzyris, the gaunt and soft-spoken orc, Anara, the lithe drow elf, and Rhys, Anara's iconoclastic younger brother, had connected while descending from the Haldir Mountains, and at Rhys's suggestion, made their way to Seva. Greeted warmly by Veus, the proprietor of the tavern, these 2 groups of strangers shared a common room, a loft above the tavern, for a night's rest. Maple, ever friendly, seized the opportunity to make new friends and used Veus's offer of hay for bedding to create a comfortable, though slightly mouse-filled, series of sleeping arrangements, with particular attention to the comfort of her traveling companion, Cloud. The group, though somewhat wary of the varying groups of strangers, bedded down, falling into a deep slumber. All but Rhys, who maintained a watchful vigil throughout the night, ensuring no harm befell his sister. Morning came early for Anara and Rhys. In time, the remainder of the party awoke, staggered down from the loft, and joined the siblings for breakfast. There they made the acquaintance of Burrell, the elder statesman of the town, who heard of the group's respective exploits. There was gold to be had if this group would travel to Hosties and escort back a cleric to Seva, for Burrell's daughter was ill. Cloud, though inexperienced in the art of healing, offered their pawn assistance, buoyed by Maple's encouragement. An act which, though not fully successful, seemed to provide Thora, the young elven girl, with some relief. Burrell, thankful for the effort of this stranger, went to investigate the claim by Rhys, Anara, and Ahzyris that they had slain several bandits on the road, an act that promised to offer a reward could evidence of their efforts be found. Cloud and Maple returned to the inn and discovered that an opportunity for work had been presented to the group. A certain archaeologist, Yulston, was in Mysa, offering a substantial reward for novice adventurers who could aid in their work. Cloud recounted that their healing had not resolved the girl's condition, but that there was an offer of gold to bring the cleric back from Hosties. Rhys, ever practical, went to the Burrell home and entered unbidden to find Thor sleeping. He laid his hands on her and with divine energy seemed to cure her ailment. A very confused Thora could do nothing more than weep and was consoled by Anara. The girl, now seemingly healed, Rhys demanded the 50 gold reward they would have gotten for escorting the cleric. Burrell provided the reward, but indicated that he still had need of this cleric being escorted, and the job was still on the table. These two parties of individuals found themselves having to decide if they would work together or go their separate ways. Without explicit discussion, rather moved by the motion of events, these 7 individuals set out for Hosties. En route, they found themselves battling a Bullet, a naturally armored eating machine. Never having worked together, the group found themselves learning one another's strengths and weaknesses on the fly. Rhys charged into battle, using his skills to compel the Bullet to focus its bloodlust on him. This act provided space for the others to use their magical abilities and martial prowess to land blow after blow on the beast. However, the strength of the Bullet's bite delivered a devastating blow to Rhys, leaving him unconscious. Cloud, springing into action, delivered divine healing to Rhys, and in turn, the killing blow to the beast. Bloodied and exhausted, the group settled into camp with the promise of a long rest and bullet steaks. And it's there that we resume our adventure. So, we have come to the end of our combat encounter, and you all find yourselves getting ready to settle in for an evening's camp. What would you like to do?
Well,
Great question.
as we're setting up camp, we should probably think about maybe setting up a watch of some sort so that we don't have any more of those bullets or whatever coming after us.
I think that's a good idea.
That's a very good idea, actually. Tell me, who sleeps the least?
That would probably be me. So
Well,
I have no
I
problem.
sleep the most.
I have no problem taking the first watch if that's all right.
I would personally say maybe take the final watch, so that way you can get your full rest, and then the rest of us are able to also, who maybe require a little more than 4 hours of whatever. Matt,
How many watches do we want? Like 3 during the night?
3 would probably be best. For me, it'd probably be best to take a nighttime shift.
That sounds fine to me. I'll help take a watch as well.
I don't mind going first. I wasn't really hurt very much during that combat encounter, so I think it would be okay. I have a nighttime ritual that I'd like to do too. I haven't gotten to whittle very much lately.
First rest, then? Maple?
Likewise. I'll stay with
Whittle.
Maple.
It seems as though there are enough volunteers, so I suppose I shall pitch my tent. And I'll go about, Cloud will go about starting to pitch their tent.
Okay, so first watch is going to be Maple and
Anara.
Anara. All right. Second watch.
Ahzyris?
Okay.
Veirona? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So, let's do it.
Delightful.
All right. Third watch.
And
Fenn.
Rhys will volunteer for that watch.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, there is it was early afternoon when the combat encounter had finished, and by the time we had gotten done with you guys gutting the bullet and finding that it was in fact a loot pinata, is there anything that you would like to do before jumping into your evening's rest, or would you like to just move ahead to taking watches?
I'm just gonna try to. It's a little gamey, is what all this smells like a bit, but I guess I can cook up some of that bullet unless anybody's got anything better. But just to make sure, if anybody wants anything to eat, I'll try to make do with this.
All right.
Mind a bite?
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Try some.
And so with that, I'll just take what we have and just kind of make a quick meal, not knowing if anybody had anything, just so that we could kind of have a communal meal before we settle down for the evening.
Easily done. Fenn, what does bullet taste like?
So Fenn sits there and never really having seen something quite like that. He'd been somewhat familiar, but he wasn't like never eaten it before. So he does his best because he's used to cooking some odds and ends. And it kind of tastes like it's like a fishy chicken. It's a little tough and a little gamey, but I guess it'll do.
I'm very much interested now, so I will definitely try some.
Well, Cloud, I'm happy to give you some and that you enjoy.
Thank you.
I think Maple will happily help pass out portions to anybody else who wants any. Any other
Sounds good.
takers here, buds? Anara, Veirona,
nice.
anybody else?
It was a hard-fought battle. May as well taste the spoils, so to speak.
Yes, may as well.
Maple very quickly digs in as well after she's finished handing out the portions to everybody else.
No, if once you once you get past the outside, it's not bad. Maybe a tiny bit more salt next time, but
Yeah, could use a little bit more spice.
I really
Rhys, you
hope
should definitely try some of this.
Well, hopefully next time I have a little more time to forage a little better and get some things off the road, just to hopefully we're eating a little bit better than this. But I guess, beggars can't be choosers. And Lord knows I've been in that category for a while.
Well,
Are you
I'll
going
tell you
to-
what. But this certainly beats the snacks that I packed for myself for the road. So I'm more than thankful for the spoils you've provided us with this evening. It was an absolute pleasure to break that thing apart with you.
Well, I couldn't have done that without you, Maple. The way you just hefted that carcass up there, just let me cut right through it. It was a sight to see.
Well, you know what? These arms are good for goblin carrying, so it's good to know that they're good for other things too.
Sorry. I was gonna say-
Finn's just got to kind of stare at the arms and just be like,
Claude will enjoy and eat meal with you all and finish setting up their tent. And before bed, probably try to talk to Anara alone, if that is something that can kind of give you let's go over here.
We toddle off.
Okay. So what is the deal with your brother? Not I guess that's a hard question. I feel like it's very interesting and I don't really understand him.
To be honest, he's a hard one to get. He is very overprotective of me, particularly, even though I do most of the protecting. But he's very straightforward. In our society, things are not quite comfortable for the male side of the species.
Oh, it's never mind. Okay. So I won't pretend to know much about the drow community because I really don't. But he's happy that I helped him in the battle, I assume. He seems always so grumpy. It's so hard to read his face.
He hides it well, but I think he's very grateful. I, for one, am extremely grateful that you took care of my brother the way that you did. Thank you so much for bringing him back.
You're very welcome. And you're very kind, so I feel like you balance each other out or something. Unlike Mabel, we're both nice and nice.
Yeah. Yeah, in our society, compassion is frowned upon at best. So I'm looking to see if I can do things differently. I'm not quite sure Rhys has gotten that far yet, but he'll come around, I'm sure.
Okay. Do you have any advices or anything for me? Like I should keep in mind?
He loves his jokes.
Okay. I'll
He's
try to
not
laugh
always
next
good
time.
at them, but he loves his jokes. But I think he'll come around eventually. Just keep working at him.
All right. Oh, thank you. I realized this was a weird
course.
conversation a little bit. So.
Oh, no. Nah, he's still just a kid. Always got to look after him.
Well,
Provide for him when I can.
Very good that you look out for him.
So I noticed on your shield that there's a symbol of sorts. What does that mean?
I came up with it my own self. And it is just like a meaning for I don't know, my magic coming into being, and like the start of my journey as a magic user. So I live on a mount. I used to live on a mountain, and obviously clouds and storms and those things. So I drew that inspiration from my home.
It's a beautiful design.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to get a nicer one at some point because this one looks a little tacky. So
it looks beautiful.
Oh, but you're very nice. Thank you very much.
Of course. I was meaning to ask you also. I noticed that you have magical abilities. My brother, he gets his magics from the gods. Where does yours come from?
Well, that's a little bit unclear to me. I don't really know how it works being a cleric. I just know that I can do healing spells and that I think about things really, really hard and tell myself that I can just do the thing, and then I try to do it.
Do you have any particular gods that you worship?
No, I don't really know much about the gods.
I'm still learning myself.
Well, we can learn together because I heard that there are these things like libraries and information in some of these bigger cities.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we can do some research.
I would love to do some research.
Oh, that makes me very happy.
Always eager to get my hands on some good books.
I agree. Let's do it.
Definitely.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And head back off to the camp.
Head back to my tent.
Okay. Anybody else up having a conversation before watches start?
No, Ahzyris has been pretty quiet after the fight.
As opposed to usual?
As opposed to usual.
Okay.
Hey, he was having a really good conversation with Maple on the road, okay?
Rhys, preparing to settle down, will take off his armor, and then he's going to inventory everything in his pack, and that's probably going to take a while, but he sets everything aside and just takes note of everything and then organizes it and puts it back in.
Okay. Easily done?
What was that?
It openly or
Yes.
Okay.
I think Maple will address Cloud, given that she has their backpack still. I know the backpack was recently emptied with tent contents, but everything else is still in there. So she'll probably address them as such. Oh, hey, Cloud there, bud. Where do you want me to put the rest of your bag? You know, I could definitely tie it on this tree next to my hammock, you know, but I'm not sure if you're concerned about maybe a couple of rain showers or anything else. So if you want it in your tent, I'd be more than happy to toss it in there for you.
Oh yes. Thanks, Maple. Yeah, you can just put it in my tent, wherever you think is safest, because you're really good at, carrying it and taking care of it.
Okay,
I forgot about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. It'll be right in front here, so it shouldn't block the way you get in, but you'll be able to get it on your way out, and I'll just put it right back on my shoulders where it belongs there, bud. As for the rest of you busy beavers, that was enough fun for us today, I think. So I think Anara and I have it from here if you guys all went ahead to snoozing.
Real fun.
And was definitely a word. I will take your advice. So, to bed for me. Thank you.
Does anybody else need help setting up their sleeping arrangements? I'd be more than happy to make a couple more bunk beds. You know, my hammock fits real nice above Cloud's tent there. But if anybody else has any other ideas, I'd be more than happy to make them come true.
Veirona just takes her bedroll. Yeah. Veirona just takes her bedroll and just rolls it out. No, it's fine. Just it's fine.
It's a sweet offer, though. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, there, bud. Everybody have a good rest, okay?
You too.
Maple.
Yeah, what's going on there, bud? What can I do for you?
I have to know, what did you do prior to meeting Cloud?
I don't really remember a whole lot from my past life, but my real purpose truly came along whenever I saw Cloud on the road and they really just needed a pair of shoulders to carry their bag. So I got my nifty great axe here. It was just laying there ready for me to take, and it had a last name on it for me. So now I'm Maple and Meso. And I guess from there, the rest is history. So I'm just excited to be traveling with my new buddy Cloud here, and meeting the rest of you is just so super swell,
Truly a blessed existence.
I would have to agree there, bud. You are just so chipper. It really makes me happy to have a friend that's willing to talk to me so much. I know Cloud really puts up with a lot, but having another set of ears really helps me out. So thank you.
Right. That's clearly what I'm here for.
I see what you did there, bud. Was that another pun? Because ears? Yeah? Did I get that right? Mine still haven't grown very much. I'm not really sure if I'm not trying hard enough, or, I think I'm just going to give it a break for a little bit. But if you have any other tips for the future, I think I'll give it a rest for now, though.
Right. Well, long ears aren't meant for everyone, so.
Well, not everybody can make them look as good as you, bud. That's for darn sure. So if you just want to go ahead and head to bed, I got some whittling to do. Anara, do you know a better way to sharpen my knives? I'm not really sure I've been doing it correctly. It's not really doing a good job.
Well, there's a thing called a whetstone. It's a kind of stone that you get a little bit wet and just run your blade along it every once in a while. And it keeps your blade nice and sharp.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be a good tip for me to go by there, because mine's been awful dry. I think is there the pond? Is it still nearby? Or no?
I think so.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. So where you guys are at, assuming you had not gone too far, the pond was to the east of the road. The Bullet carcass was sort of on the west side of the road. So you would have set camp somewhere around there. I assume probably closer to the pond than the now hulk of a corpse of a Bullet. But I don't know. Did you set up closer to the Bullet or closer to the pond?
That is a good
I could
question.
have sworn we'd walk down the road a few more hours.
Fenn definitely would have led clear from any sort of carcass to avoid just any encounters with any animals that smell the body.
You
just
are
from his
not too
passive-
far from the pond then.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well then, I think, does Maple know this? Was she paying enough attention to know that they're not too far away from the pond?
Yes, you would be able to
Okay.
see the pond clearly, even as dusk is beginning to settle in. Yes.
Okay. Then I think what Maple will do is she grabs a rock that you would never have guessed was in her bag. It looks way too big for something that she doesn't have a whole lot in her very small bag, but it's probably like it takes both hands. It's not knife sharpening size, but it's the best she could do. So she kind of zooms over to the pond real quick, dunks it, and then brings it back. The water's just dripping all over her, but she'll, ask Anara, is this okay, bud? You think this will work?
Might work for starters, but you might want to see about getting an actual whetstone. It's a particular type of stone that works best.
Okay, I mean, the next time when we hit this new town here, if you would point me in the right way, I would be very, very, very grateful for that.
I would be happy to. I actually need to get one myself.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can get a 2-for-1 special or something, bud. Claude handles all of my money, but I'm sure they'd be willing to help me out.
Oh, I think they might be able to figure something out for us.
Okay. So with that, Maple's just chilling on the watch then, unless Anara has anything else to say.
Well, Anara pulls out her book out of her bag and opens it up and starts reading some more.
Okay. Easily done. Maple, anything more that you want to do there, or are you good?
I think Maple's probably whittling her best version of what the bullet looked like.
Okay.
And she'll probably shave a nice spot on like the closest branch that she's hammocking on, so that it has a little place to sit. Just kind of a little memento, places that she's been, kind of a thing.
Okay. How about each of you give me a perception roll?
All right. That is a 9.
6.
Okay. All right. So you listening into the night, into the setting sun as night falls upon the campsite. You hear night birds chirping a bit. You hear the sound of random insects, but your watch proceeds uneventfully. You each go and in turn wake Ahzyris and Veirona to take over watch. I assume both of you then go to sleep yourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Ahzyris and Veirona, it is now your watch.
Ooh. Ahzyris is going to be spending most of this probably with his couple of books out, looking between the two, writing down notes, just doing his usual. I say usual, he's done this like twice before, but it is his usual.
Sure.
So that is going to be his focus, unless you are dying to talk to him.
Tempted. But no, Veirona is more than likely going to sit a comfortable distance away and appears to be playing with water skin, her dagger, or one of her daggers. You hear mutterings every once in a while, different words and things, sometimes a weird flash. Maybe concerning, maybe not. But
Every time that happens, he definitely looks up, but doesn't say anything and just goes back to his work.
Okay. Then would each of you give me a perception roll?
Gladly. Oh, good. I got a 5.
Okay.
16.
All
Thank
right.
God.
So you two, in the midst of your watch, with it being sort of the middle of the night, hear off in the distance the sort of of wolves calling to one another. They are certainly far off, but you can hear them.
Worry not. We'll be fine. They sound a good distance away.
We should probably let the others know when we wake them up, just to be safe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey,
Back to work.
your watch passes without further events, and you awaken Rhys and Fenn for the third watch.
And alert them of the wolves that we heard.
Okay, very good.
What kind of wolves?
Wolves. Ask Fenn. He's likely to know if they shout out again.
Yeah. I think in this area, you usually just have like your usual pack of Roman wolves. Not anything extraordinary, but a pack together can be dangerous. They usually, unless they're really hungry, would avoid like a large group with fire and things.
Well, good night.
Thank y'all. And Fenn just kind of stammers as always. But having received that tidbit of wisdom, is just going to kind of try to stay alert, using his vision and his listening and his familiarity with the area to continue with the watch. He's not naturally conversational with Rhys, but if Rhys says something, of course he'll respond.
Is that what you know about wolves, that they roam around in packs and don't bother people with fire? Or do you have something actionable?
Well, I've known how to kill them before. I don't know if necessary. I prefer not to if I can help it, but if it's necessary, you can. I'm just saying that for animals like wolves, unless they're desperate and hungry, they usually will look for prey that they can take down as a group a little easier than a large group with fire. But that doesn't mean they won't. I'm not like some wolf whisperer or something.
You said that you try not to kill wolves. Is that some sort of strange ethical stance?
I kill them if I feel threatened. I feel they're part of the nature chain and circle of life as it is anyway. But I don't go out to kill them just to kill them. I know there are some people who go out and just like hunting predators. But I've always felt that predators are also part of the circle. And so if you need to kill, you can. But just to do it, nah, that's just not how I am. So I guess you can call that an ethic.
Right. So your people live in the trees, right?
Well, we live in the forest traditionally. We don't live in the tree, but we build lodgings among the forest and we try to blend them. Well, I guess we used to.
You're telling me that you're not the fastest tree climber here?
I don't know if I am or not. There might be some, but I haven't seen anybody else try to climb a tree. I'm probably not too shabby at it, though.
Exactly. They've left it all to you, probably.
To climb a tree?
The tree climbing around here is clearly claimed.
Well, if I feel the need or if we need someone to climb a tree, I'm happy to shimmy up and see what I can find. But I don't think right now that's going to be very helpful. I'm just trying to make sure that we keep our ears open just to see if those wolves they heard end up coming by. Do you always speak like this to people?
Define people.
Well, I just mean anyone. You have a very unique way of speaking that I have to admit I haven't really met many drow before, and so I just didn't know if that was just how common about how you all talk, or if it's just because you're uneasy around me, or if it's just You.
What do you mean uneasy? Do you think that I'm afraid of you or something? Is that what you're implying? That I might say the wrong thing and then it leads to a scuffle and then I'm suddenly in a bad position? Is that what you're implying?
Well, I'm just saying that usually those kind of words I'm not saying it's fear. I think it sometimes just means lack of familiarity or comfort. But I know a lot of people are not comfortable around me. I've experienced that before, but I don't know. I just want to, I just notice that that's just a way you seem to go around. And I'm not trying to start nothing or something, but I didn't know if that was just normal, because to me, it just sounded like you were kind of giving everybody a joke or two. I don't know.
Let's take a break here, because I think you're traveling down a path you don't necessarily want to know the answers to. You're asking me questions to be friendly, but all of the answers I'm going to give you are not friendly.
Okay, well, I think that did just answer my question to an extent then. So,
Great.
Well, it was interesting chatting with you, Rhys. I guess we should definitely make sure we keep our alert on. I don't have any doubts in your abilities with that.
I'll let you know if I see any wolves that you can decide whether or not to kill or not.
Well, I appreciate that. And with that, continue to.
Okay. Each of you give me a perception roll.
9.
Okay.
23.
Okay. So, Fenn, now you hear the sound of these wolves, sort of that constant off in the distance, and you, in listening to it and hearing sort of the calls back and forth, you would guess that there are probably 8 or 9 of these animals. You can hear the differences in their sort of their tone, their inflection as they're going back and forth to one another. And you would also realize that these are probably not the kind of typical normal gray wolf. They sound much larger, a much deeper kind of howl to them.
Well, Rhys, did you hear that?
Yes, I hear the wolves that are coming to eat us.
Well, there's a certain tone to this voice that it doesn't really sound like the gray wolves I'm used to seeing in the forest. These sound like more like, I don't know if they're dire wolves or something, but they sound a little different, a little more fierce. I know we had our earlier conversation about what we should do, but I just want to make you aware that there still seems to be some distance, but it does seem like there's maybe 8 or 9, and these are not your typical gray wolves that I usually see most around here, so we should definitely be wary.
The issue probably is that if we wait to wake everyone, then it's probably too late and they don't have their armor on. But they'll be mad. I don't care about that.
And Anara comes out walking fully dressed, rapier at the ready. What was that? Did you guys hear that sound?
Yes, apparently there's some larger wolves in the area. It seems like a sizable pack.
Some of Fenn's friends.
Well, some of them could be. You never know. But that said, Chris, how
Yes.
far through the watch are we?
You are coming up on the tail end of your watch. It would be getting on for daylight. You, Fenn, would know that these wolves are definitely distant, while their call carries very far based upon the sort of the timber and the echoing of it, particularly with your perception roll, you would guess that these animals are probably several miles away.
Okay. Well, it seems we'll probably be having sun up in the next hour or so, and I don't think the wolves are close enough to where they can pass that distance, at least not without first exhausting themselves, and two, then being ready to even notice necessarily we're there if they're a few miles away. So I think we can continue to let the others get their full night of sleep, but we'll just kind of stay on guard to see if they do come closer. But I think we should be all right for the night. It's only another hour or so.
Fenn, would you say that we're going to take the same route back?
Well, I think probably, unless
'Cause if-
we hear of an alternative.
Right. So we're coming back with some cleric, some doesn't know how to fight his way out of a, I don't know, livery tunic. Well, this is bothersome. I wonder how far do the territory of these wolves normally extend?
Okay, Chris, so I'm guessing basically about a 5, 10, 15 mile radius for a pack.
Yeah, I mean, you know that this entire area is pretty open to all sorts of beasts. So wolves ranging like this is, you know, while the one pack may range anywhere over maybe a 5 square mile area, 10 square mile area, it's also not at all unreasonable to think that there wouldn't be other packs of these that might bump up against the territory.
Well, Rhys, I think I get what you're talking about. It makes sense. On a return trip, we will have to take some extra caution. It could be this pack. There might be others out there. We could even get caught between them. So I think you're wise. Maybe there's an alternative route, or maybe we just need to make sure that we're alert if we do choose to return that way.
Of course. Just wolves.
Just wolves, but with a lot of them, I'm sure you can handle yourself quite well, but we should at least be wary and let the others know so people are prepared if we do that return journey.
Anara sits down next to Rhys and starts rebraiding his hair.
Rhys lets it happen.
Fenn kind of takes that opportunity to kind of just move away from the group in general, but just to kind of listen and just focus on the sounds that he's hearing around.
Okay. Easily done. So your watch comes to a close without any further incident. You can wake everyone up. All of you will have achieved a long rest. You can go ahead and reset. For those of you who need to prepare spells for the day, you can go ahead and do that now.
This is so great for me.
We're gonna hit the long rest button, DM.
Yep.
Yes.
Okily dokily.
Gonna prepare a witch bolt.
Rhys goes around the camp and nudges everyone with their foot, and after it looks like they start to wake up, he'll say to them, "You're not dead. It's time to go." And then moves on to the next person.
Morning to you. Okay, I guess we're done here.
Cloud will just be under Maple's hammock, like, no, not ready yet. Not ready yet. But we'll get up. So
Not ready, but definitely ready.
Is there anything that you would like to do before you head off?
Douse the fire.
Okay.
Maple's gonna pack up Cloud's tent, you know. But then
Okay.
we're good.
Perfect.
Roll up the bedrolls.
Yeah.
have a
Maybe
So
breakfast.
Sarah, when we level up to level 3, you will go ahead and take 1 level in Batman, and that'll be
Maple. Rhys goes over to Maple, who's packing up the tent.
Yeah, what's going on, bud?
I think I know what's going on here. Are you're one of those squires, aren't you?
Oh, I mean, I don't know what that means, bud, but if that's another word for friend, then I'd have to agree with you.
It's something like that, but you're not equals with who you're friends with.
Oh, I mean, okay, who's Squire? Whose Squire do you think I am then, bud?
Clouds.
If it's for I was gonna say, if it's for you, our ears are definitely not equal, so I would definitely put you above me. But for Cloud, I would agree too. Cloud is so much more clean than me. I don't really I don't take much stake in water, so Cloud is much more concerned with that than me. So I'd agree with you there too.
Well, the way that it normally works is that normally you graduate on to have a squire of your own, and then you too can have someone do all the things that you don't want to do every day.
Oh, I mean, I offer to do all these things for Cloud. They don't really ask me to do much. I just like helping out.
Right, that's exactly your relationship. Okay.
I mean, do you need anything else, bud? Is there anything I could carry for you, or are you a little bit jealous there, eh? I mean, I do a nice job, I have to admit.
No, I think we've run out of things to talk about already.
Okay, absolutely, bud. You go ahead and carry on then. Nice talking to ya.
Rhys walks away.
okay. All right. Anything else before you get on the road?
No, I just prepared my 1 spell that I needed to swap out.
Okay. Then easily enough, you break camp, gather up all of your things, are stuffing things into various backpacks, getting prepped, getting on the road. What is your marching order?
Finn's taking the lead again.
Okay.
Rhys will be up front with him.
Okay.
Ahzyris wants to walk with his friends.
Okay.
The trio again.
Yes.
Ahzyris, Maple, and Anara.
I feel like that leaves Cloud and Veirona to the rear. So.
All right.
The safest. Definitely no chance of an ambush happening and being
No.
successful on the.
No.
No, what are the odds that wolves would attack from behind? All right, so you set
That's
off.
why I took the front.
You set off down the
I took
road.
the middle.
You set off down the road as the sun has broken. You can hear the sound of birds beginning their morning calls, flitting about. There's the occasional crash of what you would imagine to be a deer or some other small animal off in the distance. Nothing too close. The howling and sort of braying from the wolves seems to have abated. We're no longer hearing their vocalizations. You begin walking, and the road here is reasonably well traveled. It continues to be sort of that half gravel, half dirt sort of well-trod road. And you walk for about 2 hours. When we had left, you had about 8 hours of travel for your day total. You had traveled a couple hours. You've got about 6 hours from dawn. So about a third of the way into your travel, Fenn, you see coming down the road 2 lines of people in the distance, and they you can see that they are definitely, you would assume, human from their size and proportions. They are wearing what look like farmers' clothes. As they begin to approach you, a couple of them have pitchforks over their shoulders. One or two have axes sort of in hand. You can see that the gentleman who's walking in the very front of the group has what looks like just a short sword kind of jammed into his belt. They've got pots and pans kind of tied to various bags on their backs, and they are walking in what appears to be a formation of some sort, just two columns and one individual up in the front, sort of between the two columns. There are 9 of them total, so 2 columns of 4, and this one individual kind of marching down the road haphazardly. And as they approach the man in the front, "Hail!
Hail, friend. What news of the road ahead?
We come from Hosties."
And well, where are you traveling to, friend?
We hear of work. The other direction.
I see. Any troubles in traveling between here and Hosties?
No, the road's been clear.
And
you?
Well, we kind of traveled from the Hobrock region. You might want to take some caution that we have heard some wolves and some other things out there.
Good to know.
Where are y'all from?
We're from Hosties.
Okay. What you said there was work where you're headed? Where? What kind of work?
We work. You know, there's always work to be done. You see notices in taverns and people talk about it. You know, it's sometimes better than working in the fields. So we're going to see what we can find.
It's with that, I just kind of glance over, and from your description, I would just kind of be like, okay, these seem like farmers turned protection adventurers, or just seeing what kind of distant labor or mining or something.
So you've got at least, so you have a good view of the entire group. 6 of the 9 appear to be relatively young men, probably 16, maybe 17 years old. There is the gentleman that you're talking to seems to be in his mid 40s. There is another gentleman who's close to his age, you would guess, and then one considerably older gentleman. You would imagine him to be, you know, probably well into his 60s, pretty wizened and tired, kind of bringing up the rear.
Okay.
Ben,
yes, Rhys.
are they going to try to kill us, or can we keep walking?
I don't think there's any direct threat to us that I can tell, and so.
Rhys, are you attempting to hide the fact that you're saying that at all?
No.
Okay. He waves at you. You know, we know bother for you. We're going on the road.
It just kind of, I think we can keep going, Rhys, and wish this party well, and just let them know to be on the lookout for wolves and other things.
Right. Put some air in your chest so you don't look like such a soft target, Fenn. We can keep walking, though.
The thinner target, sometimes harder to fall, Rhys.
I'm talking about posture.
Well, if you say so. And just say to the general, to the gentleman up front, just well, take care, friend, and
you as well.
And continue heading our direction.
Okay. And as they are maybe 100 yards beyond you, let me see here. Yeah, Rhys, you would definitely hear him sort of bark out to them, you know, put a little air in your chest and try and mimic what you had said. And they continue on down the road. You all continue down the road. Fenn and Rhys, give me perception checks.
Okay. Oh man, I'm just killing it over here. 4.
Okay.
15.
15 with Fenn. Okay. Your next 2 hours of travel passes uneventfully. You see no other people coming or going. Continuing to just hear sort of the normal sounds of the road, nothing very specific. You continue, it's getting just about to midday at this point. Are you going to stop anywhere? Are you just going to continue to walk all the way? Are you going to take any breaks?
Well,
Stefan, how long is it to our destination, so to speak? Like, if we just continue to press on, would we get there in a few hours, or how much longer?
I think we got about 2 hours left.
I mean, this is nothing for me, so I guess is anyone else opposed to just continuing on for a few more hours?
No, I'm all for pushing forward. The sooner we can get to like some real food and civilization, that will be very nice.
Oh, but
I
you said
second that.
yesterday that that was real food.
I mean, it was yes, true. But also, like, I hear stories. I'm like,
Don't worry.
sounds.
I am more in jest. It's
I'm sorry, Fenn. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
That didn't hurt my feelings, Cloud. You have nothing to worry about. I never cooked that before.
It was
Let him
pretty
fool you.
tasty, all things considered.
I've eaten worse too, so.
substantially, yes.
Maple, having been totally aloof, just kind of following the rest of the group like a sheep, probably having been talking to Ahzyris most of the walk, and Anara as well. Where are we going, bud? I'm just following her along, you know. I was just talking to Ahzyris here about where to get a good walking stick. You know, theirs looks like they're keeping him pretty straight, you know, with both backpacks on. I think I could really use something like that. So if anybody sees a stray tree branch, you know, that looks a little bit taller than usual, I'll definitely take you up on that. I could whittle that into a mean looking walking stick there.
Finn's gonna look around to see if he sees one using his forestry skills.
I'll just look around too.
Okay, both of you give me
Just for
perception
fun.
rolls.
For fun. Oh, 23.
Okay.
18.
All right, you both find a dozen or more really good, strong sticks just off the side of the road into the edge of the tree line, any which would make a good walking stick for Maple.
This is what D&D was made for.
Yeah, this is what it's for. I don't know. This one, I feel like Cloud and Fenn are both like, this one.
I was fully
Cloud-
expecting you to say you found a small tree.
Well, Cloud, if you want to pick one out that you think's good, then I'll just shape it with my hand axe real quick, and then we'll get it back to Maple.
Oh, this one looks fine. There are so many of them. I did not even realize until I started looking how many there were.
You know what, you guys? I do have two hands. So if you both want to pick out your favorite ones, you know, I can always strap my axe to the side of my backpack here.
You might need that at some point, so maybe keep a hand clear.
Whatever you want, Maple. I mean, I have this little quarterstaff that I use for walking and also for spells. But I mean, like, if you want to, like, go for it.
I'd say listen to Veirona, because from my experience, sometimes you run into people or things you don't want to run into. So sometimes it's best to be prepared. But
Okay, that's a
As
good
your
point
du-
too.
Your
Good
your
point.
duty as partially Cloud's protector, obviously you do need to put being able to access your weaponry at top priority. So, maybe just fine.
Okay. How
Okay.
about just this one? And I'll choose one.
And then Finn's gonna try to just real quickly with his knife, just try to carve a maple leaf into the actual walking stick, and then hand that over.
Make a let's call
I'm
it a dexterity
crying.
check.
Oh my god.
With a D4 because Veirona has that ability to just tap people and
Okay.
whisper arcane words of wisdom, specifically at the Vu.
Go ahead and add a D4.
Oh my goodness.
Cloud.
Okay, so a total of 13.
All right, you come up with a very nice, easily done interpretation of a maple leaf. The outline is pretty crisp. There is a little bit of ruggedness down by the stem, but it's very distinctly a maple leaf.
Here you go, Maple. I made this for you, so I hope you enjoy the walking stick. I couldn't have made it without Cloud picking out and finding such a good one.
You know what, bud? I will honestly treasure this forever, or at least until I have to put it down. Like Veirona said, protecting Cloud and the rest of you guys is my my top task here. So I'm so excited right now. You guys don't even know. I've never gotten a gift before. I gave myself my axe, but this really means a lot. And she is sobbing. She is not able to control herself whatsoever.
Ahzyris looks at her aghast, just completely unsure of how to react.
Cloud will look to Veirona and say, remind me when we get into town to actually buy Maple something.
Well, you're paying her, so she can easily.
We're friends. I'm not paying her. She's just doing it out because she's nice.
Well, you know what, bud? No walking stick is gonna be as good as yours, but the gift of friendship that you've given me is worth, more than anything you could buy with our shared money. So that sounds good to me. To just, I think we're in a good place.
Maple, you speak such words of wisdom sometimes.
Oh my goodness, Ahzyris, you listen to my words of wisdom? What's that? I just speak from the heart. That's all I know.
That's all
Group
that matters.
therapy.
He'll pat her on the shoulder.
Rhys is gonna walk over to Cloud and say to Cloud quietly, "Do you want to know a secret?"
What is the secret?
Where I'm from, they call those Squire Be Good sticks.
Squire Be Good sticks. Oh, is this a joke? Ha 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 ha. And Cloud will attempt to laugh enthusiastically as Anara has instructed them.
Since Veirona is right next to Cloud, do I hear any of that?
Sure. Rhys walks off.
Cloud's gonna see if Anara was paying attention at all. If not, no worries. They're gonna talk to her later.
Well,
Anara's
That's,
always paying attention.
I can always carve
I'll be
another
like,
stick, but it looks like he already has one up his ass. So I don't know what's going on there.
Is don't. There's something. I don't know what just yet, but that was a joke, I think. Very dark one, though. Very dark one.
Fenn, are you up here navigating, or are we doing arts and crafts all day?
I
Well,
think that perhaps Fenn and I will take the lead for the last bit because now that I'm more fully awake, I can see a little bit better.
Wonderful.
Veirona will slide up beside Rhys. Looks like we will be taking up the rear of the parties this time. Is that okay with you?
Do I have a choice?
Likely not.
Then I suppose there's no problem at all.
I mean, you could always join us if you want, Rhys.
Plenty of room.
For a party.
I'd rather just not talk anymore. Can we do that instead? Can we just walk?
We can do that.
Ahzyris
what?
just smiles.
Rhys, I'm not gonna lie to you, bud. I have never won at the quiet game, not once in my life.
Really?
No, would you
Rhys is
believe it?
champion.
You know, I'm good at a lot of things, but that is not one of them, no.
What a surprise.
I do have a logistics question, though. Is Maple's new walking stick taller than Anara?
Isn't everything?
Fenn, is Maple's new walking stick taller than Anara?
I think it's probably Anara height.
Okay.
5
Giving the
foot,
poor
4
thing a
inches.
complex. I feel so bad.
So it's
Sorry,
a it's a one Anara stick.
Exactly. Anara is kind of like a cubit. It's
Yeah.
Anara has become a system
A
of
unit
measure.
of measurement.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Systems of measurement
Take
are
it.
arbitrary.
Oh, man.
It is
Then-
one Anara high.
Then, yeah, Maple would
Lord.
definitely make the comment, oh, you know what, Anara, looks like you're just about a walking stick height there, bud. How good for you. You know, crafted by Fenn and everything. That's got to be a sign of good things to come for you, eh?
Well, all good things are shorter.
And we keep walking.
Keep walking.
All right. So Cloud has moved up to the front with Fenn. Was that
Yeah.
right? All right. Okay. You continue walking down the road. Cloud and Fenn, give me perception rolls.
Fenn, you know, I really like that you are so good and woodsy. So I'm looking forward to learning more about seeing danger. I rolled a 20, but not natural.
Okay.
I rolled a 13.
Okay, you now see as you come over the crest of a hill, you can start to see what appears to be this very kind of flat, sprawling area with sort of the dots of rooftops. Out beyond it, a string of cultivated farmland. You would guess that you are at this point maybe an hour or an hour and a half away from what appears to be Hosties.
Have you been to Hosties before, Fenn?
I've traveled a bit through the area, but I haven't spent too much time in the cities itself. They're not always as welcoming, and sometimes they're just expensive. I know you like finer things, I think.
I mean, yes, I want to see what they are and try them all.
Well, and I understand there's like cleric that we're going for, so you might be able to find that cleric you were mentioning.
Yes, Civis, I think. Did I write that phonetically, DM? Okay.
You did get that name correct, yes.
In the Port Temple? Polo
It was
Temple?
like the Temple of Pelaver or something like that.
Taylor!
Palor? I took terrible notes. It's like
Yes.
there's the paper just gets torn and caught in my claws.
Yes, the Temple of Pelor.
That was
Yeah.
Veirona shouting from the back.
Veirona seems to know all about the gods and those kind of things. I hadn't spent much time on it myself.
Because she is one? No.
We'll find out.
I should. Oh, I did not know that. I will ask her more about that. I feel like I did kind of ask her about the gods though, and she said she didn't know much. So maybe she was making a joke, like Rhys does.
Yeah, it might be. I'm still having to learn what everybody's likes as far as when things are joking and when they're not. I'm not always. People always say I have a good eye for noticing things, but sometimes with people, I just don't have a way.
Oh, I'm pretty good at it. And you can always, I feel trust that Maple is usually always being very honest.
Well, I only know if I could see a lion bone in Maple's body. That's just how she
Yeah.
interacts. But
I
Cloud,
both look forward to the day that someone teaches her how to lie.
oh Lord, help us all at that moment. But it's a innocence that's almost incredible to see. Something I
Yes.
feel I've definitely lost. But at the same time, maybe I'll learn a little bit more about people traveling with you, Cloud, and the others. And I can always try to teach you what I know. It's just how I was raised as far as some of the things in nature.
That's my hope too, Fenn. And we can continue walking.
You continue walking. Is our group of 3 friends in the middle having any sort of a conversation that they would like
Three
to?
Musketeers.
The 3
Well,
Musketeers.
4 now. Veirona join us.
Hell yeah. No.
No,
So
sorry.
Veirona.
I'm still back with Rhys, keeping him company, because that is exactly what he wishes. No doubt.
There's no conversation coming out of Rhys.
No.
Oh, I know.
Ahzyris doesn't have anything in particular to talk about, but we'll talk if y'all want to have a conversation, which I'm assuming Maple does.
I'm sure we probably just keep talking about hair and beauty.
Probably.
Probably.
Maple is still stuck on the fact that the walking stick is Anara height, so she's probably asking her walking companions what else is walking stick height. Just laughing with Anara. Oh, you know what, Anara, what else is as tall as you, bud? You know, I've never met anybody that short before, but I'm sure it must be really something. You probably get a really good look at the ground. You know, I don't really ever look at my feet, so I don't pay much mind to it. But if you see anything interesting, you know, that's worth a gander, definitely let me know.
Well, one of the great things about being so short is that I can find a little easier cover when it starts to rain.
You know what? My bud Cloud is pretty concerned with that too. You know, that's why they sleep in a tent and I sleep in a hammock. I don't mind a little bit of rain, you know.
Ahzyris is just giggling this entire time.
What did Ahzyris sleep on last night?
I think he just has a bedroll.
Okay.
No tent.
Okay. Does
Just
he
wait
fit
until
on
you
the
guys get to the
bedroll?
hammock emporium.
Do Ahzyris's feet kind of hang off the end of the bedroll, or is it like a specially made bedroll?
I imagine this one is probably Ahzyris size, and also you probably can never see his feet because his skirt is very long.
Oh, yeah. Ahzyris, bud, you have a built-in blanket. You know, we have Anara, who's walking stick height. And you with your built-in blanket, you know, I'm over here losing fabric. You know, it's only a matter of time before my other sleeve goes missing. So we'll have to see how long it lasts.
We'll just keep finding you new shirts.
That sounds really good, bud. They're gonna keep going. Just anything else.
Okay. Knowing that Veirona and Rhys are each enjoying or at least suffering their respective silences, the group continues. You begin to see the road give way to cultivated land, farmland stretching out about, at this point, a good 2 miles from the edge of town. Fields that are being planted. There are a good number of individuals out off the road into the fields, working with picks and hoes, obviously getting sort of spring crops planted, getting the land ready. Fenn, you would recognize some of these people as very, very likely having been refugees out of the Hobrock. They have the same sort of wood elf skin tone to them, and the clothing would seem familiar. You would even though you don't recognize any of these individuals personally, these are all people that you would be familiar with in passing, and people that you know would have likely settled in this area because of your travels and knowing sort of where the diaspora had spread to.
DM.
Yes.
What time of day is it? Like, is
You-
this like
You are
evening?
just past noon.
Okay.
You are assuming that everybody was up and moving with sunrise. You had about 6 hours on the road, and you are now getting in towards town.
Well, we should probably go to the temple, and see if we can find our dear cleric that we have to all take back together.
Are you talking to Rhys? I assume we're still like walking towards the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray says nothing.
Right. Good talk. Fenn.
Yeah, Veirona, what's going on?
So, I was thinking that since it is fairly early in the day, all things considered, we should go to try and find the temple to Baylor and find the Sabbath.
Okay, I might be able to ask around to see if we can get some specific instructions. If nobody knows specifically, or if we don't see the temple, the number of wood
see
elves.
the temple? Is that a thing we can see, or
Is it a very obvious building, or
You have not yet reached the city
Okay.
proper. You're still
Okay.
a mile or so off.
Taylor is the god of what? Does anyone know?
Actually, this is a Commonwealth gods. Taylor was listed, so Veirona would probably at least have a passing knowledge, or is that like
You would know that Pelor is regarded as the god of sun and healing.
yes, god of sun and healing, if my memory serves me correct. So yes.
With that, Cloud's just gonna like be like so like wide-eyed and like feel like, yes, sun and healing. I do healing. That sounds great. I'm so excited. I'm so
This-
excited.
Cloud, you look even fluffier than usual.
Oh, well, I put some extra time into cleaning myself last night. It's nice of you to notice, Fenn. You look
That's what it-
nicer too.
That's what it looks like when you put air in your chest.
Well, thank you there, Miss.
Sure.
Thank you, Rhys, for that tidbit. Yes.
Very
Hey,
excited to go now.
All right. Assuming that you are walking and talking, as that's what you have said up to this point,
Pretty please.
you are reaching the edge of the town. And what you see as you come into the town is that the sort of main north-south heading road that you have been traveling on, to the east side of that road is a walled city area. You can see rooftops popping up above the wall, trees. It seems to be a pretty lush green area, as well as dominated by sort of one very large slate gray building with a red slate roof. Outside of the wall, on the west side of the road, there are a handful of nicer buildings that are more of a kind of a beam and mud type look with wooden shake roofs. Some of them have people hanging out in front. The first place that you walk past is this large 2-story affair. There's a ton of noise and the rumbling of a group inside, and there's a big sign that hangs off the front of it with a cask and a shield on it. As you continue walking down, there's a guard tower on the west side of the road, on the outside of the to the west side of the road. Across from the wall, there is another guard tower just inside the wall on a diagonal from it, to what would be the south of where the guard tower is. Outside of the building, stretching off to the west, there are a handful of more buildings, and a little bit of a paved road that sort of you can see disappears just into a dirt track. On the south side of this sort of intersecting road that connects with the main north-south road, you see a little bit of a clearing area, and then to the south of that, a stretch of tents. Probably, from your perspective, it looks like probably a good half-mile long stretch, about a half a mile or a mile wide, of just various tents, some small, some large, some almost circuit sized. Many of them are just kind of brown and torn and tattered. Some of them have bright flares of color on them. As you are approaching this kind of intersection area where all of this is happening, you pass a shop that just has wares over the door. And then you can see several more buildings kind of heading down that intersecting street, a small, squat, cobbled building with a thatched roof. Across the street, on the south side of the street, there is that open space before you get to the tents. Butting up against that is another sort of one-story building with a little bit of a loft. Standing out in front of that building are two people dressed in such a way they have short swords at their sides, half plate armor on their chests, very simple helmet on. They are dressed what you would assume a town watch would look like. And there's just a hustle and bustle of people coming and going from inside the walled city area, as well as in and out of these various buildings. The tent area seems relatively quiet. There are a handful of children running around. You can hear their voices, but for the most part, that area is a little bit less busy.
Well, seems that we will be at least a little more safe tonight.
I feel
That
like
way.
since this is like so new for Cloud, that they would be looking around and trying to like observe everything, especially if people are noticing them or like the party.
Nobody is paying you a particular amount of mind from what you can tell. There's just people kind of coming and going.
And when you say people, like, are we demographics like humans, elves?
So it is very much a mix. There are
Okay.
elves, there are humans, there are dwarves, there are gnomes, there is the occasional half orc. It's a
Mixing
pretty,
pot?
yeah, it is a pretty wide range of people.
Cloud will stand closer to Maple. I just, this isn't like a really big city, so I just want to make sure that you are not scared at all and that I'm here for you. And you can see that Cloud's fur is slightly on edge.
I think Maple, in an attempt to put Cloud a little bit at ease, she will quickly pull out one of her whittling projects, and it is a small cat. And Maple will allude back to the conversation that she, Fenn, Veirona, and herself had when they were first walking into the smaller town, in that no one corrected her when she mistook cleric for cat. So she is still very much going on about, well, you know what, Claude, we can take bets if you want, bud. What color you think this cleric is going to be? You know, stripy, spotty? You think they're going to look like you?
Cloud, honestly, not knowing if clerics or backsies or not, it's probably going to be like, I don't know. I'm really, really excited to talk to them.
I would love to see one that looks like you, Cloud. I can't imagine they get any more better looking than that, you know?
Oh, thank you, Maple.
You're so welcome, bud. And they'll keep going. But Maple will pat Cloud on the shoulder.
You said there was 2 guards. Like,
There are.
yeah. Okay.
Yep, stand outside that 1-story building. Rhys, you would certainly see, looking around with your perception, you would see a couple of guards up on each of the towers up at the top.
Well,
Crossbows or bows?
Crossbows.
well, may as well figure out what is what. I make the astute assumptions that the red top building is likely the building we are going for, but let's not leave that to chance. And she just walks forward and greets the guards.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello.
hail.
Hello.
And
We
our
are
pulls
sorry.
hood a
We
little
are
further
looking
forward.
for Seveth in the Temple of Pelor. Pelor.
Mhm.
Anyways, red building. Yes.
No, that's the governor's home. Temple.
Mm.
If you go in, head towards the back wall. Make a left.
Back wall.
Go towards the north wall.
Go towards the wall.
It's a big courtyard
Big courtyard.
off in the corner.
Off in the corner. Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. You staying in town or?
Don't imagine that I wanted to sleep on the road again, but
Oh yes, and Claude will butt in. What is the nicest place to stay?
The guard looks at you and then scans the entire group. Well, the emissary is the nicest place, but I don't know if it fits you. There's right over there, and he points sort of off to the what would be the west down that connecting road. Over there's the tucked in if you're looking for a decent place, and then back down the road was a loud place you pass. That's a
we have that,
Swan.
yes.
It's a little cheaper.
Excellent.
Thank you.
so
Sorry,
much.
go ahead, Veirona.
No, it's all good. It's all taken care of. All right. Thank you. And make way back to the group. All right. So the temple, it seems, is not the one with the red building or thing. Anyways, so we are going to go down there. Then we are going to hang a left. Then we are going to find the courtyards. And we are going to follow the. Just follow me. It's fine.
When we have a chance, I would love to hit this shop over here. Got a few things I need to purchase.
I don't think we all need to find the cleric, but
That is true. If you want to go shopping.
I would love to.
Ahzyris looks between both of them, completely torn on wanting to figure out what shopping is and wanting to go find a cleric.
trust me, the cleric will not be nearly as much fun as shopping.
I've
Shopping
never
is always fun.
been in a town like this. I would love to explore a little bit if you don't mind some company.
I would love some company. And she
Wonderful.
Anara grabs Ahzyris' hand and drags him right into the shop.
Hey,
Rhys
who
goes
is-
with Anara.
Okay. Anybody else going with Anara, Ahzyris, and Rhys?
I think Maple will ask Cloud real quick. Hey, Cloud, do you need me to go with you there, bud? You know, just in case you need anything in your bag.
Well, Maple, thank you so much. I have this smaller bag that I put most of the things I actually need most of the time. So I think you should go shopping. It sounds fun. I would like to go shopping, but I really need to see this cleric. So I think that Ahzyris and Anara kind of like you and I like them. So you should go spend time with them.
Okay, I mean, and she'll look over to Anara and go, hey there, bud, just a quick question. Does this shop that you're talking about happen to have some of those wet stones that you were telling me about? You know, I left mine back there a ways, and I think this would be a good chance for me to get one.
Oh, that is a good
That's
point. Let me get
certainly
you
what
some
I'm
gold.
hoping That's certainly what I'm hoping for. It's one of the things on my list.
Cloud will, unsure of how much gold to give Maple, will just give Maple like, I don't know, 15 gold.
Hey,
Like, here, is this enough?
Oh, I don't know, bud. You're the one
Okay.
in charge of our money. So,
Well, keep
Anara, what
tabs
do you
on it.
think?
Have
Shouldn't
Nora
cost
help
too
you.
much.
She seems like you'll know. She knows the things.
Of course. I'd be happy to.
okay. So then we have Fenn, Cloud, and Veirona all heading towards the temple, correct?
Seems like it, yeah.
Yep, that's it for us.
All right. So we will begin with the group that is going to the temple. As you enter through the main city wall, you see there are two heavy wooden gates that are able to be slid to close off the entrance. As you come in, there are a handful of guards milling about. Nobody appears very alert or concerned of any sort of threat. It's a very sort of lackadaisical feel. Things are just, everybody's going about their business. To the inside the wall, this main sort of connecting road that you had been on goes in, and Veirona, you would see now where the guard was talking about how off to the far east there is a large outer perimeter wall. On the inside of that, however, there is another walled perimeter that you can see that is off to the south of where you're at. Closer to you on the south side of this connecting road is a large stone plaza. That largest building with the red slate roof sits in the middle of that plaza. And then surrounding that, mostly closer to the main wall that you had just come past on the west side of the largest area of the walled-in city, are very nicely appointed buildings, shops, inns, taverns, things like this. Definitely a higher class of building than what you had seen outside of the wall. Their roofs are done in some sort of slate tile. Their windows are all shutters, nicely appointed, painted, or seemingly very, very clean. As you look further off to the south, from that square area, the same style of building continues, but it doesn't seem to be on quite the same regular pattern that this sort of central square is. To the north of this road, on the inside of the wall, are another series of these sort of well-appointed buildings. They appear a little older than the stuff in the main square, but still fairly nice. You can see a variety of shops. Some of them have clothing sort of hanging out front. A few have other kinds of, there's a variety of wares for sale. Off in the distance, you can hear the hammering of a smith and can smell sort of the coal fire. In the far northwest corner of the walled area, so within the walls, the far northwest corner, you see a series of trees that are stood away from the wall a good distance, and you would imagine that there is something beyond that. As you make your way following the directions the guard had given you, you pass a large number of, probably a dozen buildings between either side of the road, people coming and going, nobody particularly paying you any mind. You continue to see the same sorts of folks that you have seen up to this point: elves, humans, dwarves, gnomes, the occasional tiefling, people coming and going.
And by not paying any mind, me specifically, or just
none
our
of the three
entire-
of you,
none of
they
the
are
three
not
of us.
paying
Okay.
any attention to
Okay.
any of the three of you as far as you can tell.
Okay.
And they are just kind of continuing on their way, going about. Are you heading straight to the temple, following those directions, or are you doing any investigating or looking for anything else along the way?
Well, I don't know about you two, but I don't need much in the way of shopping or otherwise, so choose the temple.
Temple is good for me. I would really, I mean, like, I know that, sometimes people go to bed early and they wake up late. So we should be really considerate of those people. And I think we should go to the temple before it gets later.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind just hearing what the situation is like for people around here. I saw some of my, I guess, distant cousins, as you would say, having settled outside the walls. So,
Your family?
not my family, but just other wood elves who have been affected by the war over the years.
Do you think that we are able to do anything?
I think directly, probably not that I'm aware of. I think there might be some things in time, but part of it is just the stress of that kind of large scale situation happening. But we might be able to learn more from a cleric who I believe has probably worked among some of the people as well. So I'm just kind of curious to hear the cleric's interpretation. And I also know for Cloud that they really wanted to meet a cleric.
I do, yes. I really appreciate you coming along because I realize, I mean, like, you have questions, but I feel like I shouldn't choose the next thing that we do, is kind of what I'm saying.
I definitely want to move on to the cleric and go ahead. And not only that, but I know some people want to stay in some fancy digs, but I understood from the last spot that we might be able to get a place to rest in the temple too. And that would probably suit me just fine.
Oh,
Agreed. But well, we probably shouldn't make a decision on where as the remaining 4 of us meant to be staying, as well, I frankly have no idea where they would like to stay. Maybe that Rhys fellow would really prefers to have the rambunctious inn or something similar. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know really either. I kind of want to go, like, I'm hoping that we can go see the cleric so that later I can go in the different places and, like, scope them out, see what they have.
Well,
Not for illegal activity, right? It's just
No,
to...
like, see, I want to see, like, the beds and, like, what
Oh!
illegal activities.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I tell you what, in order to make sure we have some time later, why don't we head on to the temple and and do that?
Easily done. You go ahead, continue following the guard's directions, wend your way heading back, having reached sort of the next intersection where you would either make a left or a right. Veirona, you would know that based upon the directions, that you would go ahead and make the left to head towards the north, stretching off down the other direction back towards the south. You see more of these buildings kind of ringing the square and then heading off into the distance. On the north, so you're now up against where sort of the inner walled area is, and looking through the opening in that wall, you can see that there's a large lake surrounding the lake. This is now a very well manicured area. Lots of trees, lots of flower bushes, bedding plants, things like that. There are multiple large, well-appointed homes in here. Continuing off in the direction that you had been given towards the temple, outside of the walled area, there is another sort of corner that has been found there. And in that area, you continue to see sort of the older style buildings that you had seen across from the square. Lots of hustle and bustle still going on, but not as much. You can see more buildings that look distinctly like they would be homes as opposed to shops and inns and things like that. Getting to the far end of this sort of north-south interior road, you see a building with a large open courtyard surrounded with pillars. At the back end of this sort of pavilion area, this open area, there is a one-story building made of cobble that has a very simple shed roof on it. It appears to be made of thatch from what you can see. In the center of the courtyard area, there is a very simple round stone slab. And that's what you can see from the distance, sort of as you're approaching.
Something I probably should have asked earlier.
Sure.
Compared to this, kind of seems like similar size, or at least larger in the sense of like my hometown, Katsina. Is this similar, or is this like very different in terms of like the wall structure, having a inner sanctum that's nicer, like that kind of setup? Or is this like completely different? Like I wouldn't have seen anything like this before.
It is not completely different. It would seem familiar to you. This is a smaller city than Cassina is. This is very much looking at it, you would probably say that it is about 2/3 the size of Cassina. So it's not as big, but it has that larger city feel that you've known. You would understand sort of the main flow and how things work. At least you think you do.
Okay.
It feels familiar.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I
Let's go.
suppose. Yeah. Walk up to the door, just.
Okay. You
3 and only 3.
Okay. You
1,
knock
2,
and
3.
the door opens, and standing before you is a very elegantly dressed human, standing about 5'6" tall. Their hair is a light blonde, very straight and cropped to fall sort of just above their shoulders. They wear an ornamental breastplate that is adorned with a large image that you would recognize as being the sun with 7 rays radiating out from it. May I help you?
Yes. Sorry to intrude. We have been sent here. We're looking for a cleric by the name of Seveth.
Ah, yes, Seveth. I can retrieve her. May I ask who you are?
Oh, right. Searches around. I believe we got a letter.
You did?
Oh yes, I give the letter to Veirona.
Okay.
Yes. Perfect. Yes. Thank you. I believe if you give this to her, all will be explained.
Very well.
We are her, how to say, escorts.
I shall be right back. And
I would like to insight check. I want to know if they're going to do it. If that's
sure.
okay.
Go ahead and make an insight check.
I'm just scared.
The monastery.
Oh, it's a 6.
You absolutely believe that they are going to do it.
Yeah.
You are
It's fine.
completely convinced, having seen what you believe to be a real cleric. You assume that they could not tell you a lie if they wanted to. Yes, very much so. Cloud is just fan kittying away. So, so the cleric gives a simple bow, retreats inside, closes the door behind them. They go away for 2 or 3 minutes. You hear the shuffling of feet. The door opens again, and now you see a woman who stands about 5'9", closer to Fenn's height. Excuse me. She has very angular features and a very sharp chin. Her hair is sort of a almost silvery blonde and pulled back behind her head. Her eyes have this interesting little shimmer to them, and she's wearing a very simple sort of robe and vestment with a cloth tabard that has the same symbol of the sun with the 7 rays. And opening the door, she sees the 3 of you. I believe you have brought a letter for me.
Yes, I did not read it yet.
Thank you. Who? And you can see that she's looking around. Who?
My name is Veirona. This is Cloud, and my traveling partner Fenn. We were sent here from what was that town called? Misa.
Seba.
Seba. No, Seveth is the person. Is Maya?
You came from the town of Seba.
Came from Seba.
Misa's the other city east.
Yep. Misa's the other city. Yep. We came from Seba. The mayor there sent us to retrieve you and help give you safe passage back there.
Yeah, yes, Burrell. Yes, I did open the letter.
Good.
Where is the young boy who took care of the girl?
He is shopping. I mean, not here at the present. We can bring him by. Are you talking about?
He is with you?
Yes.
Yes, he traveled here with us.
Okay. I will need to meet him.
Sure.
Burrell said in his letter that you might require lodging. Is that the case?
I would never say no to lodging, and I'm sure.
I would love to learn from a cleric. I have so many questions.
We will answer your questions in a moment. Is it just the 3 of you and this young man who need lodging,
no.
or?
No. Let's see. There, Fenn, Maple, Rhys, Ahzyris, Anara, Cloud, myself. What is that? 7?
7.
7. Yes.
There. Come, please, come with me. And they open the door and invite you into the interior of the temple area.
I'm looking around everywhere.
Okay. Do all 3 of you enter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And okay. So as you enter, it is a very simple and sort of Spartan space. There are 6 beds sort of around the perimeter of the room. There is a central table with chairs about it, sort of a low stool, no back. There is a fireplace in what is the far back corner that has a cooking grate on top of it. It is a very sparse and Spartan sort of space, handful of windows about where light comes in and whatnot. Seveth looks to the 3 of we do not have much room. You are welcome to sleep on the floor or in the courtyard if you so wish. There are some trees behind us that make for a nice resting place, but if you are looking for something more comfortable, I can speak with a friend at one of the inns and probably secure you a reasonable rate for lodgings for this evening as opposed to the full price.
No, it's completely okay. I shan't intrude. I can't speak for my compatriots, but no, it's very clear that any hospitality you offer would put you at a maybe lacking. So no, I will make sure to find my own way, and my compatriots
It
will make their own decision.
it is no problem to
Oh, and
have a discussion with the innkeeper. However, they can.
no, it's completely okay. We've come into some funds of our own, and I'm not lacking. It is more than okay. Please, please, you just continue to have what you. Do you need anything? Does the church take donations or anything like that?
Of course, we take donations. That's how we provide our services, is through donation.
How bad do things look? Like, obviously not decrepit, but are we talking like squalid, or are we talking like modest?
It appears very much intentionally modest. It is not opulent, but it is very clean. Everything is in good repair.
Spartan.
Yes, it appears to be intentionally sort of Spartan, but not in any way run down.
I read that completely wrong.
The exterior area, the columns are in very good shape. The plaza itself, sort of the portico area, for lack of a better term, the stone seems all very cleanly polished. The center stone that you walked past was a very nicely polished piece of marble. So it is not opulent, but it does not appear run down.
Okay, I read that completely wrong. That is my bad. Oh well.
Hey, I have
okay.
a
For
question.
$1 in for a pound.
Yes.
What is like a donation like to the like? What does that look like? Like, how much is it usually?
Well, people give what they can for the gratitude to maintain the temple, to enable myself and Quiran to do our work, preaching and healing and guiding. Obviously, we have needs, as any of you do. We must buy our food and our clothing and whatnot. So people's donations go to aid us in providing our work, and some of the healing we do requires us to obtain items that go into those rituals and whatnot.
Would you say that this is this is like my first temple, I guess, that I've been in? Would you say
Welcome.
that this is thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Would you
You're
say
very excited you're here.
Aha. Yes, I know that you are. Looking around, like, would you say that this is like a typical, like how a temple would look on the inside?
Well, there are many kinds of temples. The Raven Queen's temple is very simple. The temple to Pilor is quite nice, I think. The temple to Paladin is in the governor's mansion. It is quite opulent. If you were to venture across the way from where we are, behind the trees, you would find the Temple of Moradin. It's probably similar to our space. Moradin has their own interests, so their temple focuses on their interests. But there's
That's
There
fine.
are many
I just-
different. There are many
Yeah.
different kinds of temples.
Of course, of course. I don't, and also like I didn't really know what is if it's a question you ask or whatnot.
You may ask any question you care to.
Oh, good, because I have so many. But I want to be considerate of my friends because they may have questions as well. And I feel like since I have the most questions, perhaps I will just roam around and at a later time we can talk more.
Of course. I know Burrell is keen to have me headed back quickly.
If you need a few days, that's.
I will certainly need till morning. There is work that I need to finish here.
Totally
I will-
okay.
I will
I was
arrange
very
with
worried.
Qian that I will arrange to be able to be on the road soon. I would appreciate it if you could bring the boy here, or
Why?
or let me know where you are
Why?
staying. I would like to speak to him and thank him personally for his act of healing.
Can I insight check that?
You sure, absolutely.
Okay. Oh my god. Insight. There it is. 17.
You believe she is 100% genuine.
Okay.
I think Fenn during this entire time has mostly just been observing the temple, seeing like, are there people going in and out? Are there people being healed? Are there worshipers that come in and out? And kind of like what kind of activities and what kind of patrons does this temple seem to have?
Sure. So right now it is relatively empty. The only two people inside the building itself are Quiran and Seveth. There are no other clerics or individuals in the space right now. As you were approaching, there were a handful of folks coming and going from the open sort of plaza area that's ringed by the columns. And that area had a handful of folks coming and going, elves, humans, a variety of folks, no singular race sort of featuring prominently.
Okay. I think with that, Fenn is content to let Cloud and Veirona just take the lead and just kind of observing what's happening, and particularly keeping an eye out, just notice any treatment or general vibes about any displaced wood elves he sees.
Okay. Fenn is paying attention. Very good. So Seveth looks to Veirona and says, if you care to, you can bring him back here, or if you know where you will be staying, I can meet you there later this evening.
I think that would be best if you came to meet us. I can't speak on behalf of. I met them yesterday. I don't know much about them, and he's. Yeah, just meet us.
Very funny. Very funny.
Something. Well, I will let you know which inn we decide to stay at, and have a good peace. Because Cloud really does have a lot of questions, and anyways,
Maybe we can
just waves Cloud in.
yeah.
Take it.
Maybe we can find our companions and bring them back, and at that time we can let you know what our arrangements are, and you can let us know if there's your recommendation. You mentioned an inn where you maybe had a recommendation. We could let them know.
If you go to the Tucked Inn, which is just as you leave across from where the graveyard is, outside the wall.
That sounds ominous.
Across from there is the Tucked Inn. If you go in and speak to River, he will tell him that you are friends, and he will ensure that you have nice rooms for this evening.
Well, thank you kindly.
All right. So, Cloud, are you going to go with your friends, or are you going to remain and ask questions of Seveth?
I'm going to remain in the temple to speak with Seveth more.
Okay, very good. Well, that seems like a good point for us to take our break. And we will pick up and see where our shopping friends are, allow for the groups to reconnect, and see what happens from there. So,
Oh my god, shopping spree.
absolutely. All right. So we will be back in 15 minutes. Everybody go get yourself a freshen your drink, hit the necessaries, whatnot, and we will see you in a few minutes. We left off. Cloud has remained at the Temple of Pelor with Seveth to ask all sorts of cleric-y questions, while Fenn and Veirona make their way back towards where the remainder of the group has gone shopping. So we turn now to our shoppers. What are you guys doing?
Just looking at awe and everything, because I don't think he's ever seen a proper shop in his life.
Okay, so you enter the store. It is a sort of a 1.5 story building. When you walk in, the first floor is about a 30-foot long space. It's about 15 feet deep. There's a wall that runs across the back, a small counter in front of that wall, and standing at the counter is an elven man. The shelves are not heavily stocked. It seems that it is that they're either they don't usually have much, or that there has been sort of a run on things, and there are a handful of, there's some cookware, there is blankets, bedding, things like that, some stacks of what appear to be clothes, boxes of candles, sort of a hodgepodge of stuff. Behind the counter area, there are pitchforks and some very simple farming tools kind of up on the wall, sort of more pickaxe style axes than anything else, some shovels, things like that. As you walk in, the elven man behind the counter greets you. Hello.
Hello, how are you today, sir?
Very well. How are you?
I've had better days, but it's turning out not to be such a bad one after all.
Well, welcome. What can we do for you?
Well, my friends and I were perusing some of your items here, and we had a few things we might like to purchase if you have them available.
What can we can help you try?
Let's see. I notice you have a lot of farming equipment here.
A lot of farmers.
Do you by chance have any whetstones?
Got a couple in the back. How many do you need?
I'll take at least 2 of those.
All right. I can get those. What else might you be looking for? I don't want to go to the back and make a bunch of trips.
Let's see. What else do I need? Do you by chance have any goggles? Maybe like what miners would wear, or something to protect the eyes?
Not a lot of mining in here. I can see where you might need it though. I'll be honest with you. Your best bet would be to have a conversation with somebody over at the Smithies. They might have something like that. We don't normally carry it.
I will definitely check that out. Let's see. Maybe by chance a couple of small pieces of copper wire.
Let me take a look. What else?
I think the last thing that I might need is, do you by chance sell herbs or incense?
We got a little bit of incense. There's a shelf of it over in the corner. There's incense. Oh, what do you know? What kind of herbs you're looking for? Anything in particular?
It doesn't have to be anything specific. Just need roughly about 10 gold worth of charcoal, incense, and herbs.
All right, we can do that. I think if you go over, and he's pointing over to the far end, there's a shelf that he's obviously pointing at. It's sort of up a little higher. If you look over there, you can probably get everything you need for that. I can look in the back for the whetstones. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do about the copper, but I'll give it a look. What else?
That about takes care of it for me. I'll
All
just
right.
wait until you come back with the other items.
All right. What about
Head off over towards the herbs and incense.
what about you, tall fella? What are you looking for?
Oh, I've never been in one of these before. I'm just looking.
All right. Well, let us know if you got any questions. What about you, young lady? What can I get for you?
You know what? I was told the other day that it might be a smart idea for me to have a spare shirt. Do you have any of those lying around here, bud?
Hey, there's clothing over there, and he points to just a kind of a hodgepodge of pants, shirts, kind of all stacked kind of willy-nilly on a table. Give her a look through there and see what you find.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, bud. I definitely will. Is Ahzyris, you need help finding anything, bud? I've never been in one of these either, but it looks mighty nice, right?
It sure does. No, I'm just looking around.
All right. He looks to Rhys. Gonna get you anything? Is there anything you're looking for?
Yes, I think my friend Ahzyris here forgot to mention that he would like a comb. It's the main portion of his act where a bardic troupe would travel.
Oh.
And the hair piece is very important for the entire show. So if you have an appropriately sized comb, because there's a lot of hair, then I'm sure he would appreciate that.
If you go look over there, and he points down at the far end, there's a small table, or some I don't know, fineries over there. You might be able to find something that would be to your suiting.
There you are, Ahzyris. There's the finery table, just for you.
Wow, you're so kind. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm here to guide you through this dreadful land. Also, I'm looking for a parchment and gum Arabic, and I'm also going to need some powdered silver and iron, I think. Yes, iron. Do you have any of that, or am I just...
I can do some parchment for you. How much parchment are you looking for?
You selling it in scrolls, or are you just selling scraps? What are you selling here?
I mean, we got some cut stuff. We got some rolls. I can cut for you. What?
Give me a couple rolls. That's fine.
All right. For silver or the rest, you're probably going to need to go to the smiths. We don't normally deal with metals.
Right.
All right.
Fair
Got
enough.
it? All right.
Yes.
So you are looking for parchment. Are you looking for a particular value worth of parchment for your purposes, or?
Yes, it has to be. It's for magic. So yes.
The DM is asking the
yeah.
player what.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
for its spell component parchment, so high quality.
Okay. Do you need a particular amount of it?
Just 2 rolls is fine, I guess. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
How much a stickler are you going to be, DM?
All depends. Is there a price listed for your spell?
No.
Okay. Not a problem then. Okay. So he disappears into the back. You hear
In
some.
the back, Anara's going to kind of keep a perception on when he comes back, but she's going to try to steal some extra herbs and incense.
Okay.
She's over at the table.
Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand roll.
Fingers crossed. What do I get? What do I get? That, unfortunately, is a 9.
Okay. Well, he rolled a 6 on his perception check, so he did not observe you stealing anything. So we will say that you are able to steal the equivalent of 4 golds worth of 7 herbs and spices. All right. So he goes around. You hear a little bit of crashing in the back. He
Anara
comes
watching
back.
over her shoulder.
Comes back out. All right. There's what I got. And plunks a bunch of stuff down the table. I got 2 whetstones for you. We'll call them a copper apiece. All right.
All right.
I don't have the copper wire. I told the other feller that you might want to talk to the smiths. If you're going over there to talk about the glasses, you might want to talk about the metals he needs and maybe the copper. They might be able to do that for you. Let me see what you got for the charcoal and herbs and whatnot.
Put up on the counter 20 gold worth.
All right. All right. 20 gold for that. All right. For your parchment, you needed 2 rolls, you said. For argument's sake, I am going to say that a roll of parchment is 10 sheets worth. So,
Okay.
All right, that'd be a gold a roll for the parchment.
Rhys reaches into his cloak and he'll pull out some coins, slide them across the counter. 2 gold, he said.
All right. So 2 gold for your parchment.
Done.
All right. Make you a deal. You're buying so much of the good stuff there. I'll throw the whetstones in. And he looks to you, Anara, and just says, "So just the 20 gold for the stuff. Don't worry about the
Wonderful.
whetstones."
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to help.
And what was your name?
What was his name? Rydell. It's good to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. My name's Anara.
Hello. He looks over towards Maple. What about you, lass? Did you find something that'll fit you?
Yeah, I think so here. And Maple holds up 2 shirts that are obviously a tiny bit too small. But can they be longer shirts by chance?
They can be whatever you want them to be.
Okay.
A ball gown.
So I think she'll probably turn to Anara and Ahzyris. Hey guys, but which one do you think would look better with my skin tone? You know, you guys are both such fast fashionistas. I really would value your opinions.
I kind of like that one personally. She points to the one on the left hand.
I agree.
Okay, I'm gonna say that one's blue.
Okay. So he regards it, looks it up and down. Bring that one over here. Let me get a look at her.
She brings it up and puts it on the counter.
And he looks at it. Well, it's pretty common. Let's say a gold.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, bud. That sounds more than fair. Thank you. My
Alright.
only other question was, do you have any other rags, I think, that folks used to bathe with? Not for myself personally, but I have a cat friend who really values their cleanliness. So I was just wondering, since they can't be with us right now, do you have anything that would appeal to that kind of person?
Just like cloth to wash up with.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds right to me.
Let me go grab some. We got a lot of cutoffs. How much do you need?
I don't know. Just enough to. Is there like a spare pocket in the side of Maple's bag or inside of
Sure.
Cloud's bag?
Why not?
Just enough to fill up this pocket. I don't have a whole lot of free space, and I don't want to bog my buddy down too much.
All right. Does it have to be one piece? It could be a bunch of bits, or
Yeah, I would say so. The more the merrier, multiple sizes, that would be swell.
all right. I'll be right back. He goes in back and he comes back and pulls out sort of just a handful of random. You can tell it's cutoffs from other stuff. Essentially either scraps from sacks or whatnot. It all seems to be clean. Nothing's filthy or anything like that. Puts it on the counter. Give me 5 copper.
Okay, sure. Is there anything you could do to it to make it smell nice? To spruce it up a bit.
Well, I mean, we got perfume. If you're looking to buy perfume, I don't normally just hand it about, but if you're looking to buy some, it's we could do 3 gold for a bottle.
Yeah, no, that sounds really nice. Chloe's
right,
just been a real good bud to me. So
go over there next to where she was picking the incense and whatnot. There's some glass bottles. Go give them a smell. Pick one you like, and we'll do it for 3 gold.
Okay, I'm not really sure how much that is. Anara, can you help me count this out, please?
I would be happy to.
Maple dumps all 15 of her gold onto the counter, or the equivalent of 15 gold, hoping that Anara will choose what's correct.
Yep. Anara counts out the exact amount.
Okay. So Sarah can make either Sarah can make a note that it would be 4 gold and 5 copper.
Okay.
While this is going on, after Ahzyris has glanced at the combs that he was pointed to just out of curiosity, he will go and stand by Rhys, and as they are all talking, he will reach over and put his hand on his head, kind of just give it a pat and go, "Are you doing okay after yesterday?"
Yes.
Good. I think we were all very worried about you.
It clearly showed. Everyone's incredibly worried about me for no reason.
It's because your natural charm.
Right. Good talk. Are you getting the brush? Are we done here? What are we doing here still?
Oh, I already have one. I don't need another, thank you, but...
Oh. I figured you would have needed something farmer-sized, maybe for a horse or something, because you're so large and you have so much hair.
He just kind of chuckles.
This is the shop to do it, is what I'm saying. All right, I think we're done here, right? Yeah. Let's just go. Rhys is going to turn to leave and look expectantly at everyone.
Okay. Is anyone else leaving?
I think Maple will pick out something for Cloud that reminds her of the stream where they met. Just something that smells like clean and not necessarily earthy, but just like a fresh smell. Not necessarily floral or anything, but
Easily done.
okay. Yeah, then Maple will extend a hand to the barkeep and say, thank you very much, bud. Your suggestions are much appreciated. I really think Claude will think this gift is a nice one. You've been more than kind to us. Thank you.
Anything else?
Actually, there was one other thing that I wanted to ask about. I'm not quite sure you have them, or maybe you might know where I can get some.
All right.
I was looking for some avocados.
It's a bit early in the year for avocado. Where do you normally get avocado this time of year?
A little further north.
Yeah, it'd be not yet.
All right. I was afraid they wouldn't be in season yet. All right. Thank you, my sir.
All right. All right. So, what would you like to do now?
We're heading to the Smith, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Smith's a good place to head.
Do we know the way? Does anyone know the? I have no
Nope,
idea.
I don't think anybody knows the way.
Yeah.
We're just gonna wander.
I think that's fine. We're just a bunch
Right.
of pals wandering around.
Right, Rydell, where's the Smith?
All right. If you head back inside the wall, you're gonna go up about. You can either go all the way up to the cross street, or you can go halfway up. Going to the north, up towards the grove. You'll see the forge. You'll hear them hammering. It's pretty easy to find. But
Right.
up in that area.
All right, Maple, you got all that? Let's leave.
You know what, bud? I'll just follow you if that's okay. I've got some precious things I need to keep safe. So you can take the lead on this one.
Bryce is out the door.
All right. So, as you all are headed towards the Smiths, Fenn and Veirona, what are you up to?
That is a excellent question. Well, Claude has the cleric. We need lodging, and apparently they really want to meet Rhys for reasons I don't know, but
Maybe they think he can be cured of whatever ailment is infecting him. But
plain nice. They haven't done anything bad.
no, he's not.
Yet?
He's not bad.
There's plenty of time left in the day. What do you think? Where do you think they would? Do you think they're back at the shops? Do you think that they? Because we do need to let them know that we've contacted the clerics, that we're meeting them with some in the morning, and so on and so forth.
I admit we didn't really plan this out well. We just
No,
sort of
we
split
didn't.
off and went in different directions.
I mean, that's the story so far as the group. We met, and then we walked in a direction together for some reason, and then we split apart.
Let me back to Fenn. Do you think we should try to find him first before we head to this like tucked in place?
Probably is the smartest.
I can try to track them. I mean, at least I know kind of what they look like. In some cases, smell like.
This feels
So
more like your territory. So, yeah, good. Do your thing.
So I think with that, basically head back towards the shop that I think it said wares on it, that we had left before, and see if I get any sense of seeing them. If not, head inside the shop and ask around.
All right. So as you are walking back towards the shop, go ahead and give me let's make it an investigation check, since you are actively looking for them.
Oh, and before you say your result, shoulder.
Oh, okay.
So add a D4.
A total of 20.
All right, easily done. So as you are walking down the way, you see Ahzyris's head sort of looming above the crowd as it wanders in a little ways down the main road that you had originally come in from the walls. You see them sort of turn and head into that area that you had walked past.
Veirona, come this way. I tell you what, it's helpful with that Ahzyris. Ahzyris is so tall that I feel like you could just track anyone that way.
Is that slouching before? It's like, it seems like they just grew like a foot.
I tell you, maybe it's just because we're among all these people now, and Ahzyris is just a little bit bigger than taller than most. I wouldn't say bigger.
I have no idea. How far away are they?
So they were probably a good 300 yards down. So you are wending your way in the direction that we went. Cloud, you have been at the temple as your friends have left, and Seveth looks to you and says, what questions do you have, my dear?
Oh, like so many. I don't really know where to start. Okay, so first off, how do you know that you're a cleric?
How do I know I'm a cleric?
Yeah, or like how does any cleric know that they're a cleric?
Well, most of us find one of the gods, and we worship, and in worship and in devotion we gain knowledge, and in gaining knowledge we learn to use the energy of the gods to do good works.
And do all clerics know what their gods are? Do all clerics use a mirror like I do? And Cloud will take the blue mirror around their belt to show Seveth.
I can't say that I know all clerics. I've never met one before that used a mirror. How you're a cleric?
I guess I didn't really understand that like all the clerics like believed in like when you say that all the clerics believe in like a god, you mean like a god in like the sky.
Well, there are divine beings all around us. Some of them are of this plane, others are not. I suppose it's possible that someone could be called to a god they hadn't known. I can't say that I've heard of it, but I also don't claim to know the will of all the gods. I believe I understand what Pelor wants of me, and how he grants his boons to me. But how long has it been that you've been studying?
Well, not very long, because I am level 2, whatever that means in this world. But long enough that I feel like, I've talked to, myself and like reflected on things, but I don't really know anything about clerics. I'm really surprised to hear that all the clerics like have a god.
Well, I can't say that I've met a cleric who doesn't, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any. when did you first notice your magic?
Well, there was like this storm and there was like a lightning bolt, and I felt like, I was really in trouble, and I thought that maybe I was going to die. And then I, kind of just like pulled myself together and was like, you could do it. And then I like magic appeared.
Well, it certainly sounds like something is speaking through you. May I? And they extend their hands out, reaching for your paws.
Okay, I give them my paws.
Okay, and they kind of clasp your paws in their hands, and you feel this sort of crackle of divine energy. And they close their eyes and give your paws a little kind of a shake a little bit, and they say, well, whatever your journey is, I think it will be a good one. So
Do I know that was there a spell that was cast, and would I know it?
go ahead and give me a religion check.
Ooh. Legend. 11.
You would definitely think that there was a spell cast based upon
Okay.
the feeling. You would not necessarily know what.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your help and for answering so many of my questions. Is there by chance like a book about like all the gods or something that like I could like use as like a reference?
Let me see what I can come up with for you. I don't know that I have anything right here that I can give you, but I can try to find some things. How I don't mean to pry. This is just new for me as well. You're able to heal.
Yes, I was not able to heal that girl in the town, and I don't really understand why that was the case. But I have healing spells. I brought another one of our team members back to life.
Well, that's very good. You tried to heal her as well. The girl, you tried to heal her as well?
Yeah, I tried, but I don't feel like I succeeded. Like maybe like it didn't work.
What happened when
She
you
looked
tried?
a little bit better, but like maybe she was still sick.
All right. I believe. Allow me to gather some things before we head out. But
Of course.
you are welcome to stay and avail yourself of the courtyard if you would like to commune with Pilar. I must prep some things for me to be able to leave, however. So
of course.
when they escort you towards the door politely, not like shoving you out or anything, but hey, I gotta get some shit done if we're gonna leave.
Cloud will go in the courtyard and just spend time like observing like the images and like reading anything that there is to read and just reflecting.
Okay, very good. So Monster Squad plus Maple is making their way to M Squared is making their way towards the Smiths, and Fenn and Veirona, you are moving with enough haste that you are able to catch up with them.
Like, does it take us effort, or is it just like we stroll up?
No, I mean, you're able to, if you are attempting to get to where they are, you are able to get to where they are without it being, you're not running after them.
Okay.
A purposeful walk will get you there before they reach the smiths.
Just power walk.
Air in, chest out.
Put some air in your chest.
And there's the episode title name right there. As soon as like Veirona thinks that she's in range, Rhys, no, Maple.
Hey there, Veirona. And I think Maple will call out just in time for the oncoming group to see her ripping her new shirt to an appropriate length to once again crop top it. And she makes a joke over at Veirona and Fenn. You know, guys, I really think it's smartest for me to do this. You know, it would just end up like this anyway. And can she like rip the remaining pieces and add them to the already existing cloths?
Yeah, easily done.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, always good to have backups, you know. As long as I go ahead and do it, no, I won't have to worry about stealing a sleeve in the future. So,
Distinct feelings that was not what Claude meant by a backup, but close enough.
well, this one has both sleeves though. So, you know, as long as I keep this one, you know, with at least one sleeve, I'd say it's okay. But yeah, this one's a good spare, I think.
Right. So, I
Did you
assume
learn
you.
at the temple?
Oh, well, Cloud is going to be learning a lot, I do think. Well, maybe. It's tough to say, okay? Basically, the cleric is there. They're going to require a little bit of time to get everything ready. And overall, we will have to try and find accommodations for until the morning. So that way we can take them and escort them back. That's it. There was an interesting thing though. She really wanted to meet you, Rhys. I'm don't know what it's about, but she seems honest enough. So, she requested that she meet, and I said we would let her know what inn we were staying at, so that she could come meet you. That I believe is everything that has happened in the hour since we last talked. Did I miss anything, Fenn? I don't think I missed anything.
Why does she want to meet me? And who is she? Cleric of what?
Cleric of Palor?
Oh, this will.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I cannot wait.
Is there... this might be a question for a later time, but is there going to be a problem? There's going to be a problem. Okay. Do I need to find myself a different inn from the one that you are staying at so that whatever happens, I don't have to worry about it?
Be fine, Veirona. I'll keep him in check.
You say that, and
I've got 17 years of practice.
I feel like you need, like, we're going to require more.
You're probably not wrong.
Okay, well, Fenn, what was the name of the inn that
Well, she said that if we headed to the Tucked Inn is what it's called. There's someone there named River that we can talk to, and apparently would cut us a good rate. It's supposed to be a decent place.
Yes,
for the night.
So, do you have any aversion to the Tucked Inn? We get a discount? No,
I have no
not the
aversion
weird
to
thing.
that.
Okay.
We just have a little more business here at the smithy, but
Maple, if you need to find Cloud as your charger, whatever your relationship is, she is still at the temple. Or no, I have no idea.
Oh, it's okay. I do have a quick question, actually.
Sure.
Two questions. Is the inn we're going to be staying out small bud free? You know, mice and
I
any
have no
others?
idea.
Oh, okay.
To be
And
honest, I don't know anything about any of you either. So, frankly speaking, there's a lack of information about everything. So,
I mean, if you joined our conversation during our walk, that wouldn't be the case.
see, the conversations that I heard from walking behind you, it consisted mostly of things that I don't truly understand. You kept talking about things like, is this conditioner? So, what is the
you.
point of, or you talk about bathing more than like once a week, like.
Yes, your appearance
all
is
such-
very important.
Gray steps into the smithy.
All
So,
right.
Veirona, I think we need to have a long conversation. You should really join Anara, Maple, and I on one of these conversations, and we can point you in the right direction.
I will keep
Is-
that in mind.
Does anybody
So
else go
Rhys,
into the Smiths?
Yes.
I go in after Rhys.
on Maple's way, Maple will kind of nudge Veirona a little bit and go, you know what, bud? This brings me to my second question. How floofy's the cleric?
Incredibly floopy.
Uh,
I don't know them. You're asking questions about things that I really don't understand.
Oh, I'm sorry there, bud. You know, Claude and I were talking though about clerics. We were trying to take bets, you see, about whether or not they'd be stripy or spotted, you know, or look like Claude. You know how floofy Claude is. Are they the same way?
I hate
I'm
this.
sorry. Fenn, is she?
Ahzyris is just giggling.
Smithy. Smithy.
Well,
Oh, we'll get to the Smith in a minute. I want to see where this goes.
I'm sorry, but does she think that clerics are all tabaxi? Is that what Claude is?
What's a tabaxi there, bud? Clerics are cats, are they not?
Oh, no.
Well, Maple,
Not all
not
of
maybe
them.
some of them, but like the cleric we just met was like a woman who had like really like narrow, angular features, like really sharp chin, and she had like this kind of silvery blonde hair that was tied back. So I hate to disappoint you, but she didn't look like Cloud. Cloud, as far as I know, is almost one of a kind.
Oh, okay. So is it that clerics can be tabaxi, or what? Is it the other way around?
From my understanding, limited as it is, clerics can be anyone. You
Okay.
could be a cleric if you has a right belief in training and whatever clerics need to do their thing. Then do you have any experience with clerics? Maybe
Rhys
just ask
isn't there.
Cloud. We're going to take this conversation, put it on hold, and you're going to ask Cloud all these questions, because there's a cleric, not...
Okay.
And Veirona just immediately turns and walks after Rhys into the smithy.
All right. So walking into the Smiths, there is it's a big open space, really stout wooden posts, all post construction, wooden shake roof that stands about 15 feet in the air, with a circular hole cut in the center in lieu of a chimney proper. In the center of the space is a forge and an anvil, and hammering away at the anvil. There is a very kind of a short, stout dwarf woman who's just hammering away at some type of black iron work. She looks up as you walk in. What can I do for you?
We're looking for copper wire, powdered silver, and iron, and we're not staying here long.
Right. She gives the piece that she's working on a couple of more whacks, picks it up with the tongs, looks at it, dunks it in a bucket, sets it back down on the anvil, turns around, pulls a pair of gloves off, throws them down on the anvil, and kind of comes over to you. Right. So copper, silver, what else?
Any goggles, preferably with dark lenses.
She looks to you, Anara. Looks back to Rhys. I might be able to find something. You're not around here very often, are you?
This is a first for me.
All right. She goes off, starts rummaging around, back over her shoulder. How much silver do you need?
Two pouches, just silver and iron.
Powdered?
Yes.
All right. She starts rummaging through stuff and kind of grumbling.
Sorry, Anara, what do you need the goggles for?
Well, I'm hoping to replace this rough fabric that Rhys gave me to protect my eyes.
What are you
I
asking
figured the
protecting?
goggles might help a little bit better with that.
What do you need protecting from? We've barely been in any combat or anything like that.
Well, for drow, since we don't see the sun very often, if at all, being in the sun is very blinding. It's hard to see. So I figured the goggles might be able to allow me to see better during the daytime.
And the rest of it? Silver? Copper?
The silver was for Rhys. The copper, just doing a little preparation for something that I've been studying.
So she comes back and she's got a kind of like a half of a wooden box, basically. And she comes back and sets it down on a table in front of you. All right. Do your silver. I mean, 2 pouches of silver price. Figure a pouch is about 30 golds worth. 2 pouches, about 60 golds worth of silver. Iron. If you're buying a silver, I'll throw the iron in.
Done.
Copper. All right. Copper I can do for I can do each for a copper piece. It's about the same amount of material.
I will take 7 of those. Just
I can
small
do
pieces of
4.
copper wire. 4 will do.
All right. You get 4. Now, for your goggles. I gotta be honest. It's not cheap. I don't have anything floating around. I can make them.
How much would it cost to make them?
She looks around this group and goes, you're looking at about 100 gold pieces.
All right. I will have to keep that in mind then.
All right. It's not Not something we get a whole lot of stock for.
I can imagine.
Rhys passes over the payment for his.
And Anara hands over the 4 copper.
All right.
Ahzyris will lean down to Anara and say, I don't have too much, but if you do need a little bit of help to buy the goggles, I can help out with that.
I think I can wait a bit.
We're not staying here long either way, so who knows if
Probably
we'll
won't be here
come
long
back
enough for me
here.
to make them anyways.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your patronage. Anything else I can do for you?
Just have a lovely day.
Yes, have a fantastic day. And then Rhys turns to leave.
She looks up at Ahzyris. You too.
She can't be that short.
She's a dwarf.
I guess she can be.
James,
She's about 4'1".
4'1", so 4 feet different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What was her name?
You did not ask.
And just in case I do come back for those goggles, who might I ask for?
Margrera Ironhide.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
A pleasure to meet you.
Ahzyris will also leave.
All
Head
right.
outside.
Follow.
Okay. Mabel,
Fenn
are
was
you
just-
going with them or are you staying?
Maple's
yeah, just
probably a
follow.
little bit entranced
Oh,
by
Maple.
what's on the wall.
Okay.
She doesn't really notice everybody else leaving.
Okay, so hanging around the space are various smith's tools. So there's, large pincers, hammers. You see various. You wouldn't necessarily know what they are, but they look like some sort of strange bag with handles. There's also just a lot of stuff. Like you can tell that it's metal that's just kind of laid up against the sides of the walls. There are some things that are already done. There's some wheels that are in the process of being worked on. Things like that.
I think Maple just kind of looking down at her hands, looks over at the forge, and she'll just mutter to herself, "Whoa, Maple, you really did start off small with whittling. Look what else you could do if you really put your mind to it." And then she'll just walk out, but she's just daydreaming a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Fenn never actually went in.
Okay.
Fenn just kind of stayed in the streets area, just kind of listening, overhearing just the conversations of people kind of coming and going.
Okay. Are you listening for anything in particular or just listening in general?
I would say it's a combination of general, but anytime I hear anything about refugees, I'm of particular interest, like if populations that come from anywhere or if they're being accepted or just the general kind of vibe. I'm just trying to get a feel.
Sure. So there's nothing in particular that would catch your ear about any of the refugee population in the conversations that you're overhearing. As people come and go, it's mostly conversations about things like acquiring shipments, travel further south, folks that are heading further west, but nothing in particular about any of the sort of refugee population. That nothing that you're listening for is coming and jumping out at you.
Okay. So when they came out, I just joined and turned to Veirona and said, hope y'all found what you're looking for. Should we head to the tucked in or?
I wasn't looking for anything, but it seems that the compatriots managed to find most of what they wanted. Did you know that Drow have eye troubles in the sun?
I didn't know that offhand, but it probably doesn't surprise me. I mean, if you've been in the dark for a long time and then come out in the bright sunlight, it always hurts your eyes. I imagine for them, at least from what I've heard about the drow vaguely. I'm not really a expert. I'm sure Rhys would agree.
Yeah, well, you have more experience no matter what than me, so it's fascinating. But yes, to the what was the inn called? The Tuck Inn?
Yes, it's the tucked in, I think.
Tucked Inn.
I
What a
think,
strange name.
I guess you never been tucked in before?
There's a vague memory. Maybe it's tough to say.
Well, okay. I didn't mean to pry. I tell you,
It's okay. It's okay.
why don't we head on and go find this river? Well, that sounds weird. That sounds like we're going to go like cross a
River
body
at
of
the
water.
Tucked Inn, yeah.
Let's find this person named River, and then we can figure that out.
All right. So are you guys heading to the inn then?
Yeah, and I think we got directions previously, didn't we? Or like rough approximation.
Yeah.
From the
Yeah,
guard?
you were told
Yeah,
that it
okay.
was sort of across from where the graveyard is.
Yeah.
It was the decent place.
Decent. Which means for us, it's freaking Ritz. No.
All right. So you begin wending your way. Cloud, are you continuing to hang out at the temple? Are you going to try to find your friends? What are you up to?
I feel like Cloud is only realizing as of late that they've forgotten about their friends and caught up in all the things that were going on, and probably is unsure of where to go and what to do. So we'll maybe wander up to Seveth and if she's around and ask her, could you tell me the instructions again to that inn that you mentioned before that I totally didn't pay attention to?
So Seveth is not immediately there, but you knock on the door and Quiran opens and is standing there in the more sort of magisterial kind of cleric garb. And as the door opens, can I help you?
Yes, I was just wondering where that inn was that maybe Seveth mentioned to my friends earlier.
If you go outside the walls again, there's a graveyard on the south side of the street, and across from it is the Raven Queen's temple. Next to that, just behind that, you'll find the inn.
Oh, that doesn't sound too hard. Okay, thank you.
I believe in
I
you.
appreciate it. Wow. And Cloud will say, thank you so much for letting me be in your temple. I really appreciate it. And will give him, right?
Them, as far as you know.
Give them 3 gold coins. Because I'm learning that this is what you do when you're in a temple, right?
Blessings.
You as well. And Cloud will head out of the temple and, in a spot where like maybe they feel like they're not being viewed or eyes aren't really on them, take a minute or two to just look at the hand mirror, look around the town, sigh a little bit, and find their way to the inn.
Okay. Easily done. As you are wending your way through the streets, you all of you will inevitably run into one another somewhere along the main path headed back towards the inn. Are you heading straight to the inn? You are now all together as a group.
Tessa. And
All right.
also,
Yes.
I think one thing we are learning is that all clerics may not be tabaxi, but all clerics are apparently non-binary, which I think is fantastic.
What's the Temple of the Raven Queen look like?
So as you approach, the Temple of the Raven Queen is a low one-story building made of these very large blocks of stone. Each stone is probably a good meter by meter, so cubic meter stones. So these are very large. Atop them is a very simple, sort of very low pitched gable that extends further off the backside of the temple than it does off the front. There's a very small overhang off the front. The front of the temple is completely open. It is basically just a covered pavilion type space. In the middle of this open area is a very plain wooden bier. And around the top inside of the temple is carved into that stone is various iconography that you would recognize as being related to the Raven Queen. Across the street from that, before you get to where the tent encampment is, you can see a series of just small mounds, and you would take this to be a burial ground.
Is there anyone walking around?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, there are people walking around. There is no one in the temple itself.
Right. Okay. Rhys is going to turn to Anara and say, I have some business. I'll find you later.
Are you sure you didn't want me to go with you?
Very sure.
All right. I'll keep a spot open for you at the table.
Rhys is going to walk over to that temple.
Okay. Immediately behind the temple, you see a 2-story, very large building that has the Tucked Inn on a sign above the door. 2-story building. The upper floor has very simple shutters, closed on some windows, open on others. The main sort of level is the second floor extends out over the first floor perimeter, and for the most part, the outside is ringed in a wooden porch that gets you up out of the dirt. The porch itself is about 6 feet deep before you get to the main part of what would be the tavern area. There are a handful of random folks hanging out on the outside, having a drink, socializing with one another. They pay the group of you no mind as you enter.
Just looking around.
Okay.
This is great.
Yeah. As soon as Anara thinks she's out of view of Rhys, she's going to turn around and actually follow him from a distance.
Okay.
Being stealthy.
All right. So, Rhys, what are you doing?
As soon as he enters the temple, he's gonna look around, and it looks fairly empty. Like there's no one. There's just a bunch of.
There's no one
bodies.
in the temple. The currently it is empty. There is the again the wooden bier sort of right center where you would know that a casket would be placed or a body laid out for most common people to be prepared for burial or for cremation, depending upon the individual's preferences. Again, no priests, clerics, monks, anybody about right now. It's really just an open sort of space.
Okay, so Rhys is gonna. Is there You said there was some iconography of the.
Yep. So carved into the walls, there are various symbols, ravens in various positions. There are what appear to be sort of these random orbs, sort of every other stone that are carved in, with kind of you wouldn't make a. I guess let's make an investigation check for this one.
Okay.
Since you're actively.
That is a 5.
Okay, it looks like you can tell that it is purposely carved, but you can't really tell what it's supposed to be. You can't tell if it's like weathered and kind of broken in spots, or if this design is entirely intentional.
Okay.
The ravens are clear.
Okay. Rhys is gonna draw his weapon, pull up his sleeve, and cut along his forearm right here.
Okay.
And then he's going to begin muttering in Undercommon the ritualistic words for protection from good and evil.
Okay.
And he is going to hold out his hand to himself. His hand's going to glow a little bit, and he's going to try and protect himself from celestials.
Okay.
Once he's finished with that, he'll just pick up and walk towards the inn a few minutes later.
Okay. So Anara, go ahead and give me a stealth roll. What'd you get? What'd you get?
At 12.
Okay. Rhys, go ahead and give me a perception check.
Four.
Okay. You are completely unaware that Anara has seen you do this.
Okay.
So,
And as he heads back towards the door, I'm gonna skedaddle back to the inn.
okay, easily done. With a 4 against a 12, easily done. Okay. So who is kind of taking lead as you enter the tavern? For those of you who are walking in.
Not Ahzyris. He's just looking around.
Okay.
I imagine I'm getting
everybody
there
else.
late, so I'm gonna let someone else do it.
Okay.
Or
your
Lauren,
mic
you're
muted.
Is there a barkeep?
Yes. So standing behind the bar is a 6 foot tall, very muscular, lean, athletic looking tabaxi with this really rich cream colored coat covered in black spots and black sort of fur under their eyes and coming down along their snout.
1, super cool. 2, why is everyone in this world so tall? That's what I want to ask.
I know, right?
I'm average.
There was a 4'1" dwarf. You just didn't spend much time
that's
talking
fine.
to
That's
her.
true. Okay, never mind. Go back to you, Drew.
Right. You didn't meet her. So yeah, so there is this very tall tabaxi. I mean, not very tall for a tabaxi, a reasonably tall tabaxi, slinging drinks behind the bar.
Hello? Hello?
What can I do for you? He's not gonna
Two
be
things.
harsh.
First things, we were told to contact someone named River, I believe.
Welcome. I'm River.
Ah, perfect. We were talking to cleric Sveth in the Temple of Pelor.
All right. All right.
We were told to come here to request accommodation.
Okay. We got rooms. We got rooms.
Excellent. They did mention a fair price tag, but I'm sure that is
No problem.
no issue.
No problem.
Okay,
How many rooms do you need? How many rooms?
We need 1, 2. Have Anara and Rhys come back yet?
Have Anara and Rhys walked in yet?
Anara is just walking in.
Okay. Anara is
Yes.
just walking in.
Yes, Rhys is back.
Rhys would walk in maybe a minute behind her.
Okay. Well, at the time of the count, that means Rhys is missing. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then didn't we have 7?
Yeah, I think
Where's
Rhys
Anara, where's
wandered off.
your brother?
He stopped by the temple of the Raven Queen for a moment. He'll be here shortly.
Resting? Okay. 7 rooms, I assume.
7. I could do 7. Not a problem.
All right. Food and drink for myself as well. I assume food, drink, yes. Yeah. No food.
Definitely.
No
How much is all this?
7 of you? For 7 of you.
correct.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
He sort of starts moving his paw in the air in front of him. All right. He looks back at the bar. 7.
Yes.
All right.
Do
Give me a
for
minute.
her if you-
He goes over and he starts rummaging around in a cabinet.
Now you see, Maple, not all tabaxi are clerics.
Comes
This
back.
one is a tavern owner.
Seventh sent you,
Yes. That is
and there's
correct.
7 of you.
Yes.
Seventh sent you, and there's 7 of you.
Yes.
You need 7 rooms.
Yes.
Does 7th need a room?
7. I believe 7 is staying at the temple for the time being. So just us.
All right. 2 gold a night. 2 gold. 2 gold a night per room. 2 gold a night per room.
Okay.
2 gold a night per room. Get you your food in your room.
Easy enough.
Easy.
All right.
And Veirona puts forward 4, 2 for Fenn, 2 for herself.
Ahzyris will go ahead and slide 2 forward for himself.
Okay.
Slides 2 forward for herself and 2 for Rhys.
Okay.
I think Mabel will turn around to Cloud and kind of rummage around in her pocket and hold out whatever was left from before. Hey, Cloud Bud, is this enough for the both of us? I don't want you to have to go, sticking your paws all through your bag if this is gonna be okay.
Yes, it's great. I'm imagining Cloud's just entering now, so we'll point to the pieces for Maple.
Okay.
This one and this one and this one and this one.
Her best attempt at a whisper, Bud, I'm so sorry. I don't think that this is a bunk bed situation.
Oh, it's all right. We could share a room if you want. I've grown accustomed to you, but I'm also okay having my own room.
It's okay, Bud. I think that, if we have another mouse situation, it's best for you to be alone. But also,
true.
that way I don't wake you up in the morning. You can sleep in like you've always dreamed about.
That's very considerate of you, Maple. Thank you.
Maple will always nod and will also nod in thanks to Veirona for clearing up the bit about the tabaxi. She still doesn't get it, but she appreciates the effort.
Okay. So Cloud, with you walking in the door, River looks up and goes, "Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm River. Who are you?
I'm Cloud. Is there
Oh.
a reason that you repeat yourself, or
It's good to meet you, Cloud. It's good to meet you.
Hi,
Welcome,
it's good to
welcome.
meet you too.
I don't get to see a face like yours all that often. So welcome. Welcome.
Well,
Are you are you part of this group?
Yes.
Oh, all right. All right. First round's on me then. It's good to have you here. It's good to have
Thank
you here.
you.
Yeah.
Are you from the areas where like the tabaxi are up in the Hadrock, or?
I came from not that far. More over by the hills. Not a little further south. More to the south. Yeah. So
Okay.
I've been here. How long have I been here? I've been here about 7 years now. Yeah, I bought the place about. Oh, that's weird. There's 7 of you. About 7 years I bought the place ago. Yeah, it's
Wow.
nice. It's nice.
That's-
Welcome. We don't. I don't get to see too many of us all that often. So welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. I haven't seen many tabaxi in this town yet. So
No.
I think you are the first one that I have seen.
Yeah, there's not many of us. They come through sometimes, but really only when they come through. Otherwise it's pretty much just me. So
Well, I really appreciate you taking care of my friends. We're all trying to figure out, what we're doing and things like that. Also, can I
what are you
ask
doing
you a
here? What are you doing? Yeah. What can I do? What can I do for you?
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
Do you pray to a god, and if so, which one?
River sort of stops and looks at you. What? I don't think so. I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, totally normal.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we'll go just get a table, and I'll come back. I might have some questions for you later, River. You're very enthusiastic.
Hey. All right. Good. Yeah. Grab a table. I'll get you drinks. What do you want?
A mix of water and ale. I don't know, but not
All right,
together.
all right.
That's weird.
Okay. All right. Full ale for you. Full ale for you. What? Any points to Fenn? What about you? What are you looking for?
You have any cider?
Yeah. I got cider. You want cider?
Yeah, I'd take one of those, please.
All right. I can do cider for you. What about you, big fella? And he points up to Ahzyris.
I'll have what he's having. That sounds nice.
All right. Cider for you is two cider, and an ale. All right. What about you? And he points to Maple.
I'll just have a regular water, please. That sounds nice.
All right, regular water. I'll see what I can do about that. Yeah. All right. Let's see if we can find that. He looks at Anara. Oh, well, you're kind of short. What can I get for you?
By chance, have any wine?
Wine. What? Wine. Yeah. We can do wine. You want it hot or you want it cold? Not hot.
Room temperature would be fine.
All right, not hot. All right. What about you? And he points at Rhys. What about you? You're a nice purple. What can I get for you? What do you want?
Water. Anara, did you say, was it Veirona? This cleric is coming here?
Yes, but we haven't actually told them that we are staying here yet. We'll have to go actually inform them. So you have time. Don't fret. You
right.
have time.
Water for you. Looks at Veirona. What about you? What can I get for you? What can I get for you?
Do you have whiskey? Is that
Oh, we got whiskey.
Okay, please.
All right. Whiskey for you. Water for you. Wine, not hot wine, regular wine for you. A cider, an ale. All right. I'll bring it to your table.
Thank you, River. Thank
All
you.
right. All right.
I'll just take the keys for the
You're
rooms
welcome,
off
Cloud.
the counter.
All right. Paw shoves across some keys and
Well,
one of them kind of goes skittering to the floor and he hops up looking at it and realizes that you can probably get it and goes off to get the drinks.
God, I relate so much with this dude.
Anara, do you think he's named that way because that's where his parents abandoned him?
Certainly hope not.
It would be my guess.
I think as the group sits down, Maple will turn to Cloud and be like, "Hey, Cloud, what do you think, bud? You think River's kind of a mix of the two of us, bud? All my words and your floof?"
That's exactly what I think, Maple. Yes.
I like them very much, Claude. I'm glad you two are getting along. Two sets of paws are better than one, eh?
I mean, I have 4. Or, well, I guess, yes, I have 4 sets of paws is better than 2 sets of paws. I realize that a set is 2 now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. How was shopping? Were you productive?
Most things that we needed. Which reminds me, and as we're sitting down at the table, I pull out of my bag, Maple, I got this for you.
Oh
She
my
hands over-
goodness, Bud. Thank you
hand over
so
one of the
much.
whetstones.
What
When
do
you
I
have a
owe you for
chance-
this?
Nothing at all. When you have a chance, maybe later tonight or tomorrow, I'll show you how to use it.
Oh, that would be mighty nice, Bud. Maybe, I could pitch in what little money I have that Cloud will let me borrow for those goggles ears later. What do you say?
I appreciate it, but it's really not a problem.
So
Actually,
River comes over to the table with this kind of platter full of drinks, and it kind of sets it down, and kind of things slosh a little bit, but not too much. And here you go. Cider for you. Regular wine. Water. Whiskey for you. Here's your ale, Cloud. Are you all coming through because of the work? Is that why you're coming through? You look like you might be a group of adventurers. Is that what you're doing? You're off for an adventure?
I mean, we are doing many things. Are there other people that are doing work?
Oh, I figured you heard about the job up north. There's been people posting flyers up. Did you see it up by there's the board up by the door if you want to go look. There's stuff there. I thought maybe you were coming through. There's been folks coming through and heading out for work. You look like you might be heading out for work. I thought maybe that's what you were doing.
Oh, thank you. I will ask. I don't know. I was at the temple all day, so I don't really know what anyone else has done. I'll just
okay.
defer to the table. Did you
All right.
leave
What do you guys want for food? What do you want for food?
Do you have?
Oh, what do we have? We've got we got meat. We got I got
That sounds great. Let's do that.
You want
Yes.
meat? All right, I can get you
Yes.
meat. You want anything to go with the meat?
I'll see you in a while. Just bring something. Thank you.
All right. What? A little bit of everything. All right. A little bit of everything. A little bit of
Yes.
everything. All right.
Very
He
good.
Yes.
Scurries off to go yell an order into the kitchen.
Cloud's gonna give a side look to Anara.
Well, they seem
Interesting?
yes.
It's very
It's charming.
enthusiastic. It's
Well, guys,
charming. Yes.
Veirona just knocks back the whiskey.
if they're bringing a little bit of everything, that means we get to eat family style, everybody. How does that sound to you guys?
About
Just
that.
as long as
okay.
nobody double dips. That's fine.
About that. We've been operating under a lot of pretenses up until this point, and I think it is Fenn brought it to my attention that we really don't have a plan, and so I would like to at least get a semblance of that, maybe, possibly. Obviously, we all have our own agendas and things that we may or may not want the other person to know. Frankly, I'm interested in the jobs that Rhys was presented, the 600 gold purse, and I frankly speaking, it's headed in the directions that I'm headed in. So Fenn would be headed in that direction too. He's looking for work, and this could be a big break for him. So there's all the reason for us to pursue this. There's the chance of danger.
Having just left home, Rhys and I could definitely use some work as well.
Yes,
Have a
I
chance
think.
to see another drow here on the surface would be wonderful.
Yes, I
Frankly, I've
think.
never seen a drow, period. So until now.
Anara, I wouldn't be getting your hopes up about that. I doubt that they're one of us.
Couldn't hurt to look. And it's money. We could definitely use that.
Not in disagreement about money. I'm in disagreement with thinking that any of the true elves on the surface are our friend, which is most
You keep
certainly
saying
not the
true
case.
elf. What does true elf mean?
We'll talk about it later.
Well,
You know, Rhys, I feel like you don't need to be afraid of us. Like, we've been pretty nice to you.
Is that so?
They have rice. Be nice.
What were you going to say, Ahzyris?
oh, sorry. Wherever you all decide to go, I'll definitely go with. I want to make sure that you can fend for yourselves.
Interesting.
Going to nod, confused, but yeah.
Okay.
At the very least, we have the job of delivering this cleric back to
Yeah.
Seva.
Yeah, it seems like the first thing is just in the morning and then getting back there with this cleric safely. And I know, as Veirona mentioned, that we'll be headed on to Mesa, where they had that archaeology thing. I don't know.
I don't. We'll find this flyer. It's probably
Yeah.
the same thing.
I think
Yes.
Uliston up there in Mesa.
Sorry, you cut out there like hardcore for me.
I think it was. I think the person's name was archaeologist Uliston.
Is this different from the job board that's posted here in the inn?
Well, I haven't looked at the job board yet, but I would assume
Oh.
it's a possibility.
Well, if we want to get back tomorrow, do y'all want to try to get tomorrow back in one day, which would mean we'd have to leave a little bit earlier and push through to about sunset?
Sounds fine to me.
That is also
make
okay
that
with
work.
me. Mabel and I, I think, I don't know, Mabel, if you would want to stay and continue with everyone, I'm okay with it because I'm also feeling like it's safety in numbers is important.
Oh, you know what, Bud? I would have to agree. But as far as I know, the more buds and good that people think of you in all their towns. I've only ever been to a few. This is the third town total I've ever been in. So I figure the more people think good of us, the better of a chance we have of actually getting this job. What if the people that we passed already took it from us already? There were an awful big number of them.
That's a very good point. Yes.
Very good point.
Yes.
Then we may as well. A proposal then. We travel until we figure out if we get the job or not. Once we get the job, we figure out if we're even going to take it or not. If we're not going to take it, no harm, no foul.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Agreed.
Better than no plan, I suppose.
Well, on that, I say we drink to that agreement. Ahzyris, I hope that you like this cider. I know it's something we used to drink a lot. There are a lot of apples and pears from that region, so I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. I wasn't a fan of that coffee, so I'm excited to try something else.
All right, thanks, my glass. Cheers.
He
River-
looks confusedly at you guys cheering, and kind of like, and then drinks.
River comes back to the table with two sort of platters, and they go skittering onto the table. All right. There's meats. There's two different kinds of meats. There's chickens. There's some chicken, and then there's some beef rib. There's some beef rib here. Those are both pretty good. I think you'll like both of those. There's I got some. We don't have a whole lot of veggies right now. There's not a lot of veggies right now, but I got potatoes. I can bring out potatoes if you want potatoes. If you want potatoes, I can bring those out. Cloud, he
Veirona
looks.
just slides a silver over, and it's like, thank you.
Thank you. More drinks? Do you need more drinks?
Yes.
Do you need potatoes?
No, just the drinks, and if you could make this fun, how to say more than the
Okay.
last
All
one.
right. More. All right. More for you. More whiskey.
Or
Any
can
wine?
you just bring
More
the
wine?
bottle,
More wine?
actually?
Please,
More
more
wine?
wine.
You want the bottle?
Yeah, I feels like I might need it.
All right. Let's do a gold for the bottle.
Slides a
Go.
gold across as well.
All right. We'll do a bottle of whiskey for you. More wine? You want more wine?
Please, I'll also take a bottle, please.
All right. Well, we'll just how about what do you two want more cider? Do you want more cider? I don't have that in a bottle. I got that in a keg. But
I'd like to switch from the ale to the cider. It sounds
you want the cider? All right, cider for you. Yeah, more cider for you.
I'm just gonna have one more tankard of cider, and that'll
one
be
more
all for me.
One more tanker of cider for you. Cider for you. What about you, big fella? Another cider for you?
I'm okay, thank you.
All right. What? Man, you're purple. What about you? Did you want more water? Is there something else you need?
Was it
No.
water?
All right. Yeah. What about you? Yeah, another water. You need something else? You want anything else?
No.
He's pointing to Maple now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. No, bud. I'm
right.
okay, but thank you.
All right. Bottle of whiskey, bottle of wine. 2 more cider. All right, 2 cider. All right. I'll be right back. He scurries off to go get the stuff. You see now that there's a variety of people coming and going. Some of them very much dressed like all of you, in 1s and 2s, looking at this job board. Couple of small clusters of folks kind of huddling together and murmuring and having a conversation about things. Some folks definitely just look like they are travelers, but in a nicer state of affairs, right? They're not sleeping in the fanciest tavern or the fanciest inn in town, but they are also comfortably well off. You perhaps merchants or something along those lines who would be in a position to afford to stay in a place like this. That's sort of the general clientele.
Is it possible to check the job board?
Yeah,
and
sure.
Just see?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it okay to like rip the flyer off to see what all the fuss is?
You can certainly try.
Or is it like there's massive crowd in front of the...
There's a crowd of people there. I shouldn't say there's a crowd. There are people going up and back and looking at a couple of things up there. So you can either go up and...
So would it be bad-mannered to like take one of the notice? Is that the gist that...
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, you can try.
Okay. What am I rolling for it? Am I...
Well, so there are a handful of notices up on the board.
Okay.
What are you going to start by doing?
I want to check and see if any of the notices are the same as what the notice that we read that was handed to give it to Rhys for the archaeologist.
Okay, go ahead. That's easy enough. You've seen it. I shouldn't say that. Did you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
My notes quickly. Yeah.
All right. If you saw it, then yes, you would immediately see it up on the board among several others.
Okay. Of the exact same thing, or like
others, other jobs.
Just other jobs. Okay.
Yeah, other things.
Okay. That's pretty much all I wanted to check out.
Okay. So you are not going to pull it down. You are just looking at it and confirming that it's there.
Yeah, just making sure that that's the one.
Okay.
That's the one we're going for. Yeah.
Okay.
Rhys is going to eat his food quickly.
Okay.
And Anara's going to pull out her book and start reading some more.
Okay. River comes back with another round of drinks, and they kind of scatter onto the table. And all right. Here's a whiskey for you. Here's a wine for you. Here's a cider. Here's a cider. All right. Any more food? We good on food? Anybody need any more food?
I think we're okay for right now. And Cloud will like kind of like pat River and like get up from the table and like maybe like walk River back to like the counter.
Okay.
If they're heading that way. He's heading that way.
All right. Do you have any conversation, or are you just kind of okay?
No, I have a question.
Okay,
River,
go ahead. Yeah.
is there is there something that you do to stay so like upbeat? Like, what is your secret? I'm very impressed.
I don't know. I like stories. I like people. You know,
Okay.
Travelers come through and they share their stories and they tell me things and I like it. What about you? What's your story? What are you doing with all these folk?
To be honest, I'm not really sure yet, but
Okay.
you know, it's an adventure. But mostly I thought that like, you know, maybe like there was like a secret to like your energy level because I hate getting up in the morning. So I thought, I don't know. You seem like maybe you're like this all the time.
Well, I mean, I like to sleep. I like, you know, I like the sun. I like to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's nice, but
Okay.
you know, you gotta. There's money to be made. There's stories to be learned. I'm not cut out for the adventure in life. I can't be on the road. I don't do well on the road. I don't do well out there. But you know, I like to hear the stories. I like to know what's going on, and I like to find things out from people. So this is a good fit for me. People come through. I get to talk to them, and can I?
That's good.
Can
Okay, that's all I really wanted to know. I really appreciate you taking such good care of us. Like, yes, very nice dedication and service that you're offering. And
you know,
Cloud will give him another, I don't know, 3 silver.
Oh, thank you. I can I ask you? I know it's a there's a spot back here. I can't get. Can you? Is there any way you could?
Yes.
Would you mind?
No, it's okay. I'll start, and then you know what? I think that I might introduce you to my friend Maple.
Oh, okay.
Because she may really like you.
Oh.
I'll just like give her a little scratch shoulder blades, and like look around, see if anyone notices.
He purrs very loudly. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome. I know. I personal experience. I know that place
it's
can
so
be,
hard.
you know,
It's so hard.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was thinking that I might send Maple over so you two could chat because I feel like you'll get along really well.
Okay. All right. Cool. Did anybody need any more drinks? I didn't remember.
I'll send Maple over and she'll let you know
Okay.
if we need anything else.
Okay.
River, do you have my room key?
I do.
Did Cloud?
Did you walk over to the? Did you walk over to the?
I assume that
bar
I
with
got
him?
all the room keys off the counter.
You did.
And then
Okay.
distributed them, so
Yeah.
everybody has theirs.
Yeah, right. Okay. Rice gets up and he's gonna leave for his room.
Okay. Okay.
I will go back and tell Maple that if she is interested in having a conversation with River, River seems very enthusiastic.
Okay.
Maple will not excitedly finish stuffing her face with, you know, the amount of food that she had placed in front of her. And she'll head over to the bar and immediately, you know, strike up a conversation with River. Not talking about anything in particular, but
Okay. He treats you enthusiastically.
Is
Once
there
Cloud is
anything
back.
interesting to report with the shopping? To everyone else who's still at the table.
What have you done?
Oh, introducing Maple to River. Maybe they'll tire each other out. I don't know. That was my thought.
I can't honestly tell if you're genius or diabolical, and I feel like there's a very fine line between the two of them.
Diabolical genius.
I think I understand what those words are, and sure. They're very big. They're bigger ones. But I think one is like good, and one is like more negative. So
They're both. No, you're right. You're right. Slams another whiskey back.
Just trying to figure out which one is which, though.
To answer your question, shopping was very enlightening. I've never been before. I thought it was exciting.
I would like to go shopping. I realize that we probably don't have time because we have to leave in the morning and like help the cleric, but I'm excited to go shopping next time we go shopping.
By the way, what did you learn from the cleric?
Yes, I'm very curious too.
You know, just and Cloud's gonna look a little sad. Just things about clerics. Like I made like a list. like I'm realizing that like all the clerics, like, you know, they pray to gods, they seem to have temples, they accept donations. Many there are like different gods. I don't know all of the gods, and they seem to like help others. So to be honest, I'm a little bit confused.
So you really are very new at being a cleric.
Sure, I don't know if all the other clerics go through this, but
I see.
Well,
Interesting.
They often say things get a little blurry before they come into focus. So it sounds to me like you at least had your first entree into what you're looking for.
yes, I was kind of hoping that maybe like later on I could talk to Rhys more about that when he's like not feeling so much like a tooth face.
Maybe that cleric will help get that stick out later, and then it'll make it a little easier.
Oh, we totally forgot to actually tell Sever.
Oh,
Oh,
were we supposed
yeah.
to tell the cleric
We
something?
were totally supposed to. Oh.
We can probably still send word to the. I can hop over there real quick and just give them a heads up.
That would be great, Fenn.
And that Rhys is here, and that we plan on leaving for at around not long after sunup.
Yes, Rhys is here, and we will not be here when you come back. No.
So I'm gonna finish my cider and then make my way back to the temple, essentially just to pass the message of that we're meeting at. We took their recommendation, thank them, and that's what we'll meet in the morning.
Easily done. Seveth is at the temple when you get there and says, you know, I will be by later this evening. I would like to speak with the young man, if that's possible.
Well, it might be possible. It might not be a lot of fun, but there's another tabaxi there.
Yeah.
If you ask
River.
Yeah,
Yes.
River will tell you probably which room, as long as he doesn't tell you the same room twice. That can be confusing if they say it's like room 2,
Yes.
you got a room 22, and then it's the wrong room. But yeah, good luck with Rhys. Oh, he's fantastic.
All right.
But with Rhys, he has a certain way.
I'll come with you now. And Seveth will walk back with you.
As I warned,
Whiskey number 4.
as I warned Seveth, that I don't know if I'm the best person for introductions.
There's a party of you. It's fine. It's fine.
Whiskey number 5. No.
So you return easily
bottle.
enough with Seveth in tow.
General conversation with Severus walking back, probably ask a little bit about how the refugees and the wood elves are faring and that kind of stuff.
It's been, as you can see, and they gesture towards the tent city area. There are many here. They do quite a bit of work in the fields, farming. It's their conditions aren't wonderful, but they could be worse. There's some folks over there you could probably get more information from if you wanted to. There's do you see the large tent with the red flag on top? Which, yes, you see.
I know. I know that flag that's red.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
I got it.
That's the one. If you wanted to go there, there's Kia is the woman. She runs it as sort of a it's a gathering place for your folk. They don't generally come into the main taverns. It's a little too expensive for them. But if you wanted to go and try and gain some information, there'd probably be somebody to talk to there.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that little bit of information, and I will definitely lead you back to the party so that you can meet with Rhys and have your conversation. But thank you, because I might pop over there just not around. I guess what some folks call my people that often. So
I understand. So you escort Seveth back to the bar?
Yes.
Okay. Fenn and Seveth re-enter, and she sees Veirona and Cloud at the table, not having seen Anara or Ahzyris or Maple before, but waves and says hello to all of you, and looks immediately to Anara and there's a young man who I believe would be one of your kin who is part of your group.
My brother, yes.
Could you ask him if he could come down here? I'd like to speak to him about what he did for the girl.
Certainly. And I get up and head upstairs and fetch Rhys. Knock on his door.
Rhys doesn't answer.
Okay.
Sits there for a minute and knocks again.
DM Rhys has cast invisibility on himself.
Anara presses her ear to the door and listens to hear if she hears any rustling or.
Go ahead and make a perception check.
All right. That would be a 23.
Okay, you hear what you would think would be either breathing or the rustling of some type of fabric.
Rhys, I know you're in there.
If you want.
Seveth is here to see you.
I don't care.
Come on.
You'll see me. It's a long walk. Why do they want to talk to me tonight? There's literally no reason to talk to me tonight.
I think she wants to thank you for what you did for the girl yesterday or the other day. Couldn't hurt.
I'm thoroughly thanked.
By us and by her father, but not by Seveth. Please come down.
Fine. Opens the door. Still invisible. Steps through, closes it, locks it.
Oh, I can hear you, right? Invisibility does nothing.
Well, lead on, obviously.
And we head back downstairs.
Okay. Seveth is there with the group, sees you coming down seemingly by yourself, and is, just waiting to hear.
My brother is here. He's just a little shy.
Does he speak?
He does. He's just refusing to. Gets that from his father.
And is this another one of the jokes?
My dear boy, I would like to see you.
Come on. Play nice.
Rhys snaps his fingers and he'll appear next to Anara, staring at Sevith. He'll say, "Why? What is this? What is this about? What do you need?"
She reaches out and extends a hand, reaching for your hand.
Rhys will step back.
She pauses and regards you for a minute and turns to Anara and reaches a hand to you.
I take her hand.
She takes your hand, brings it up to her lips, kisses it, and says, "Thank you for healing my daughter. Please give that to your brother."
I will. And thank you.
She looks at the rest of you. "I can be ready to leave in the morning if you are ready to leave that quickly."
Yep. Is Maple too enthralled in conversation to hear this?
You tell me.
Probably.
Okay, then Maple misses this. Yes.
Okay.
I'm imagining like Cloud and Ahzyris and Fenn all just watching on like while like Veirona's like a little bit like maybe on the tipsy side.
Uh-huh.
All right. And Sevith looks at all of you and looks at Rhys again and just smiles and nods. Your sister has something for you. I will see you all in the morning.
Yes,
And
of course.
turns and heads out. And that is where we will wrap up for this evening. So, very well done, everybody. That was all right. So, thank all of you for joining us for our adventure this evening. We will return next Wednesday for another installment of Adventures in Umbranthal, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For all of you who are celebrating Christmas and the rest of the winter holidays, we wish you happy holidays, and we will see you all next week. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everyone.